Hello, everybody. I am your host for this evening, Nathan Blades, and welcome to the Tabletop RPG side of the Neon Caster Twitch channel. This evening, we are going to be playing a delightful new tabletop RPG known as Mystic Lilies, written by the delightful Will Uhl. Say hi, Will.
Greetings, viewers.
Yes, October is not quite here yet, and we're definitely a decent stretch away from Halloween. But on this channel, it is always Halloween. We are some spooky bitches.
If you're not living Halloween all year round.
Mm-hmm. It's very important.
Halloween is a state of mind.
Something like that. Something like that. There are two other voices. Ooh. In addition to Will being on this particular show, we also have Amy.
Hello, everybody. Nice to, speak to you.
Yeah, this is your debut on this channel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've previously done a couple of recordings together on a tabletop RPG podcast, Roll On the Adventure.
Yay, cross promotion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've always got to be on our hustle. We're probably gonna do like big promos at the end. Although I am going to let
that's perfectly fine.
Will talk about the system, since he wrote it, and this is partially letting people know what a cool thing he made is. But in addition to Amy, we also have Paolo.
What? Where?
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. Hi, how you doing?
Hi. Thank you for joining us again. This time not on Cyberpunk Book Club, but on Dice Adventures. Well, not Dice this time, but...
Alright. Yep, I'm on a lot of your stuff.
It's all good. I wouldn't keep inviting you to my stuff if you weren't, like, cool as hell. So, hello, Two Birdie. Thank you for joining the stream. I am very bad at paying attention to chat, but I will do my best. So, I have gathered 3 victims... to this stream to play this new tabletop RPG, Mystic Lilies. It is, as I like to say, witches backstabbing each other, the RPG. Which, I don't know, that's everything that I want out of...
I prefer bitchy witches, but...
Close!
We're all bastards.
Yeah, it's all very, very valid. But I think I should probably leave a more nuanced explanation to Will. So go for it, Will.
Yeah, so Mystic Lilies is I typically call it a game about vengeful witches and dark melodrama, which is absolutely wrapped up with playing as bitchy witches or magic bastards, whatever you want to label it. But yeah, it is centered on stories of complicated, often not exactly great people, and the interesting drama and stories that come out when they come into conflict. Is if you're looking for a game about everyone working together and hugging at the end and jumping up and high-fiving,
No, not this.
Oh, not this time. We have the drama, we have the intrigue.
Yes. So I have whipped up a one shot specifically for this playthrough demo. Before we get into the general kind of like rules and the stuff that we're going to be doing in lieu of the X card system, because I do want to kind of pay attention to those little options next to the title at the right. Those are important. How about we go and have a very brief explanation of like who you're playing this time round. We'll go in order of the screen on the left hand side. So let's start with Basil.
Oh god, my hubris at being at the top. Yes, Basil is... he is in advertising, as he likes to say. He is a kind of like early 30s, very chiseled, very clean cut gentleman who is aspiring to one day be Fae himself. But his main thing that he does is he makes people want things, and that's where all his pride lies. That's what he's good at. That's what he likes to do. And above anything else, he likes a challenge.
Oh,
he does.
Apparently people are getting a black screen. You're getting audio, but a black screen.
Yeah, that's weird because I'm watching the stream. Hi, chat. And I'm seeing it just fine.
Okay, good, because I was about to start screaming.
Yeah, I think try refreshing the stream if you're just seeing black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Please, Sapphire, let me know if you can see the stream. It seems that everybody else is working, so good. Yes. Windows 10 decided that they were going to change my OBS settings today, which made me swear a lot, which isn't going to be on air. Good. Good. Next up, let's go with Klaus. Who is Klaus? What's it about?
A death ward. He is mostly alive, and mostly I mean he's a ghost, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Something like a poltergeist. And he's a very sort of tall, lanky gentleman. He's mostly shrouded in abstract shapes and shadows, like his image. But you can tell he was once a man, and everywhere he goes you feel a slight chill, and you can smell mold and rain and death as wherever he goes. And his past is rather mysterious. He lives in the tower of this town, and well, he died by falling off it. He doesn't know if he was pushed or if he fell, but yeah, he is overall just trying to live his life and not be surrounded by idiots. Looks at Basil.
How very dare.
As Phlox just thinks to themselves, interesting, an idiot.
If you're going to be an idiot, you may as well be an interesting idiot.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that the visuals aren't working for you, Sapphire, but if the audio is coming through, we usually tabletop RPGs do make for relatively good podcasts. I should know. So hopefully we will be good listening, even if you're not getting video. And finally, what is Phlox about?
Phlox is, or was, a familiar that Basil summoned a while back, and things got a little out of control. Basil may have been playing with power a little outside of their purview, and now Phlox serves Basil as something of a shall we say, fate manipulating accomplice. Though instead of actually manipulating fate, Phlox will help Basil's business deals by going and roughing up people, or taking their things, directing them some way, and then making them forget he was ever there.
Ooh. Nice.
And Phlox found Klaus when he died. Just I think it was, if I recall correctly, the first thing that Klaus saw was after Klaus died, opened his eyes and saw Phlox standing over him, eyes wide open.
Yep, and staring down at him.
Oh, so spooky. There's all these characters have connected in a way that we've discussed off screen, and then as we play we'll have them come on screen as well. Before I go and read the top line and get into the game proper, I just want to go and highlight these little things up here. These are an alternative to the X card system written by Brebo Sheldon, called the Script Change System. And what it's for is folding in the uses of the X card, highlighting when scenes are maybe problematic or uncomfortable for particular players, and working around or reneging those scenes, but turning it into cinematographic language. So instead of like hitting an X card, we can pause and resume, or if we want to go through a scene and kind of go slowly through the different bits and pieces, or turn it into a montage, we can use frame by frame. If we do something just so astoundingly cool we want to go and see that again, maybe from a different character's angle, we can use instant replay. If we hit a wall and we want to kind of, if we've made a mistake and want to renege that, or if we go into territory that people find uncomfortable and just want to step back from that, we have rewind. And if there is, for some strange reason, a fade to black moment in this game, I don't think that's going to happen with the characters that you guys have set, but I am all for witches smooching in general. We can hit fast forward.
I mean, Basil's tags are Desire Beast, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Who
but
will
does
teach Phlox how to love?
Basil may want to smooch people, but do people want to smooch Basil? Is the interesting question.
Or Basil Butchin.
Gotta love a cleft chin.
Oh, Gaston.
Yes, Gaston. Every last inch of him covered in hair, etc. The only line from that song I remember, sweats. So, setting that, we don't have time to unpack all of that. We have a tabletop RPG to stream. So, to give you the top line, and then we'll kind of get into how we do our opening scenes and bits and pieces. My dramatic box text reading voice. The sleepy town of Malleus has had a close relationship with the Fae. Said to have been founded on a fairy ring where the post office now resides, those with the sense of the supernatural, and those desperately trying to escape the realm of the glamour, both find themselves here for different reasons. The barrier between the realm of mortals and the glamour is no thicker than a soap bubble, but mundane folk struggle to see past its rainbow slick sheen. But their secrets and the sacrificial art of magic isn't going to remain unseen forever. On this night, 3 witches are on the cusp of seeing their desires and hard work realized. At midnight on Samain, the witching hour, the 2 worlds will become one and the same. And the one to properly welcome this brief union can be granted power neither world could manage on its own. The clock is ticking. So with that melodrama sorted and out of the way, we can get into drawing our opening hands. It turns out that Mystic Lilies is not a game that uses dice. It is not so basic as to concern itself with polyhedrons.
I shall not have any disparaging of polyhedrons.
It's my stream, I'll do what I want.
I'm sat next to a shelf full of them.
All of my investments, I understand. I have.
Oh no, they're falling onto me. No! Not like this. Please.
I have ice cream dice coming in the mail at some point soon. I am also victim to the exact same shit. It's fine. This game uses playing cards, like poker and that. It's really cool because the way that playing cards work is very different from the randomized nature of dice, and that you can see what's coming up if you've been counting your cards. So in this particular game, everybody draws 5 cards. Klaus has already drawn 5 cards because they're being cheeky. However, this game, Roll20 unfortunately has a thing where they put the jokers in the deck and I can't remove them separately. So if anybody pulls a joker, could you please just play that and move it out of the way? That'd be great. Thanks. And then I'm going to go and deal 5 cards to you and you. And I don't need any. Do you all have 5 cards? You can.
I do. I
can even look at them too.
Mm-hmm.
Live in large here.
I'm not going to go and click on them because I think let's keep them secret to even the people who are viewing. So like a lot of trading card games, Mystic Lilies has a mulligan system. To cast spells or to do things in this game, it's playing cards. Depending on the suit and value of the card is how powerful it is. and obviously more powerful cards are useful. However, an ace will beat any face card in a competitive standoff. So bear that in mind. If you do have aces, that's not the end of the world. Otherwise, aces are low. If you hate your hand, you may mulligan your hand.
Okay. I thoroughly enjoy this hand.
Mm-hmm.
My hand's gonna kick your guys' butts.
It's time to duel.
But before we set the opening scene of this game, we have the opportunity to let you guys set the tone. Setting the tone is placing one card into the field, and the person who sets the highest value card gets to set the tone with a single word. Now, if I understand Roll20 correctly, if you press and hold Shift and drag the card into the field, it should be face down. So for this first one, I'm going to have you all drag and place your cards into the field at the same time.
Hey.
Oh, cool, it does work. It does work. Cool. Yeah, thank you for jumping the gun.
I'm gonna have to figure out how this works.
If you
So hold Shift.
press and hold Shift and then click and drag the card from your hand onto the field.
Okay, let's try.
There you go. You did it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I do believe.
I did it.
I do
Oh,
believe
God.
this card is Klaus's and this card is Basil's.
No, the one in the middle is Basil.
Okay.
Yep. Wait, what? No, that
Sorry,
was
the
mine.
one-
No, it's all good. It's all good. You probably.
We'll do it this way, so it's a bit easier.
Yeah.
Oh, also,
Klaus, yeah.
Klaus, your audio is clipping just a little bit. If you wouldn't mind dropping your volume on your side just a bit, you're clipping. But otherwise.
Sure, of course.
So I'm going to. You can right click on the card and click flip. On 3, we'll see who sets the tone. 1, 2, 3. Okay. It seems that Klaus is setting the tone with the 7 of spades. So, in a word, what is the tone of the opening scene?
Does this have to be an adjective?
That's useful. It doesn't have to be, but it's useful.
Okay, let's say damp.
Okay. Cool. Let's I have a handful of opening scenes for the 3 of you. I think let's go start with Klaus since you won that draw and we can set damp.
We all need to draw another card.
Oh yes. You can do that by clicking on the deck and choosing deal a card to yourself.
Draw.
Draw. Well, I have a poker face when you can just be
Yeah.
foreboding.
Well, we don't get to see your face. You could be an excellent voice actor.
Great.
And I've heard your grandpa voice. Don't do it, please.
I feel like I have to hear this grandpa.
No,
voice now.
we're starting the game now. It's too late.
It's a stretch goal.
It's a stretch goal. Okay.
Right, let's go and set some atmospheric music for this opening scene with Klaus. Hopefully it plays, and hopefully it's a volume that's acceptable. Please let me know if the audio volumes are bad, and I can fix them. But for now, let's go and meet Klaus in the town of Malleus's clock tower. There is a faint drizzle outside as you hear the bell of the clock tower ring, sonorous, warm, and way too loud above you 6 times. It is currently 6 p.m.
No, sorry.
What do you normally do on a rainy, early evening, Klaus?
I think really one of 2 things. Sometimes Klaus just sort of sits at the very top of the clock tower on the balcony, sitting on the railing, his legs dangling like dangerously off the side of it. He's dead. He can't really be asked if he's going to fall off this thing again. And I think that's what he's doing now. Is he's just sort of looking over the sleepy little town and just watching.
Nice. Yeah. You can see that there are an assortment of people hanging up some decorations in the little courtyard town square outside of the clock tower, for today is Halloween and there is going to be a big festival in the evening. The gigantic kind of like a cardboard cutouts of various Universal monster classics and the gigantic kind of bunting of orange and black flags are tacky, but it's nice to see them celebrate the town's significant history.
There's a special screening of Hotel Transylvania 3.
Yeah, no, there's definitely like a little kids zone that's being set up. From this height you can see it. It's about a block or two away. A kind of nearby park area, they're setting up a kind of open air cinema screening. Although if it continues to rain like this, it's very unlikely to still be on when it actually airs.
Yep.
That's fair. Klaus is just sort of looking over all of this stuff, and he smiles. The shape doesn't really come out from his rather shade-like skin. And he just sort of says, "If only they knew what real monsters looked like."
And so the edgelordery begins.
Lightning strike in the background.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some ominous like rumbling thunder in the background upon that statement. And with that kind of big rumbling that you kind of feel vibrate the air above you, somewhere deeper beneath you, not as part of your body, but almost like connected but distanced. Like you can feel the clock tower itself. Something rumbles differently somewhere deep below.
Klaus immediately gets off the railing, goes back inside, and starts to climb down the clock tower to go and see what's going on.
Even though it's kind of a light mist outside, as you keep climbing down the stairs, as you step onto stairs, there's big splashes of water, like it's been raining indoors. The walls like drip with muggy condensation, and you can smell kind of like damp marsh reeds in the air, although the town's canal is not particularly close to here.
Yeah, he's sort of just used to that. It's kind of also his, I guess, aesthetic that he kind of he smells like mold and the earth. So he kind of just is completely used to this fact.
But usually you create it rather than it already being here.
Yeah, that is a more strange thing. And Klaus just sort of, his eyebrows are with the space where they should be sort of crinkle, and then he goes down to the bottom and he basically jumps down quite a few of these steps because, again, he's dead. And he's going to see what's causing this problem.
Yeah. As you jump down and hit the ground floor, there is an actual splash, and you look down to see you are up to your ankles in river water. And it seems instead of the regular kind of like door to the outside, or you can still see outside, and you can still see people hanging up decorations, apparently entirely unfazed by the fact that there is a decent amount of water in the street. There is a bubble-like sheen over the cover across the doorway to the outside.
One thing real quick, someone in the stream mentioned that the stream audio is a bit quiet, so you may want to...
Yeah, I bumped that up just a little bit. Please let me know if it is still too quiet.
Someone in the stream also mentioned that Basil looks like a himbo, and they are correct.
They are very correct.
That was me.
Oh, you!
The Greek chorus was coming from inside the house.
Would Klaus know what causes this kind of thing? I'm gonna presume it's magic.
Well, this is definitely some magic bullshit. But let's turn you working out what this may or may not be into a challenge. So, challenges in Mystic Lilies, I give a difficulty of a number, and you play a card of that number or higher. You do have stats, however, that are tied to your 4 suits that can be modifiers to said number that you play. I'm going to go and pull up the specific pairs between. There are clubs, which is instinct, representing aggression, impulse, and raw power. There are spades, which is logic, representing knowledge, deduction, and foresight. And there's hearts, which is will, representing manipulation, courage, and reading people. And diamonds are special and are related to the particular paths of each character. You can see the path next to their sign at the little bottom of the doobly-doo. So, for example, Klaus's path is the warden. So, I am going to set this as a relatively easy challenge of 6. Depending on the suit of card you play is the method to which you will handle the challenge. So, tell me what suit you would like to play.
Okay.
Do also keep in mind you can choose to fail.
Indeed.
And in doing so, you'll reap whatever consequences failing the obstacle involves. But you will be able to draw some cards in exchange.
All right. I'm going to play a card.
Mm-hmm.
Oop.
Reveal it, my friend. Ooh, you're going in deep with logic.
Literally all my cards are really high.
That's fine. It's all good. It's all good.
That bluffing.
Ask me 2 questions about this situation, and I'll tell you what I know.
Okay. Why is no one noticing this?
It seems that this is an instance of the Fey realm bleeding into the mortal realm in an unusual way. It seems to be people who are relatively attuned to the magical nature of things are picking up the fact that there is a surprising amount of water, but mortals are not noticing.
Okay. Can I see where it's coming from, where the split is?
It seems to be that this soap sheen looking barrier in the doorway is where the water is gently ebbing from.
Okay. Klaus is going to look at the shimmer and just going to go, really? Again?
Every year this happens.
Takes so long to dry this place out every time. And he is going to approach the shimmer. I'm guessing Klaus would know like how to approach it. Can he just touch it?
Yeah,
Is that thing
I think with your big knowledge, you can basically do whatever you want to this thing to dissipate it.
Okay.
With your big emo brain.
He is going to make some hand gestures, and out of his hands are going to come like little vines and thorns connected together.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to essentially like move his hands in an alternating cross shape across the shimmer and kind of knit it closed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's going to try to do to dissipate it.
Yeah, you manage to kind of like slowly extricate it from the door frame as gently as one would touch a soap bubble, and then slowly squash it out of existence, knowing full well that if you popped to that barrier, it would have made all that water real and startled a lot of people. Go ahead.
And he is now happy that there is no longer water in his clock tower.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we go and move to a different location. Let's go and move to the camera kind of like moves out of the clock tower doorway into the street and following some roads, reaches Malleus High Road. Like every kind of depressing high road in England, it's got a whole bunch of like charity shops, some closing betting stores, pubs that are open at unfortunate hours during the day. Oh, I think. Hang on. Has Paolo disconnected?
No, I'm here.
Oh, you seem to have left the Roll20 for some reason.
What? How?
I have no idea.
I don't. Oh. I'm still on the screen.
It's fine. Oh no, you're back. Roll20 is just cursed. All technology is cursed today.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah! I invited this upon myself. It's a very depressing high street in like every kind of English high street of a whole bunch of betting shops, chicken shops, charity shops, and pubs open at unfortunate hours during the day. But there is one particular shop front that seems to be really narrow, and there's no windows, and the door opens as if by itself, and there's some stairs that go down into a basement bar known as the Garden. How about you describe this bar, the Garden, to us, Basil?
Okay, so the Garden is an extremely botanical themed bar. It's kind of very Batman and Robin, Poison Ivy style, but a lot classier.
Mm-hmm.
There are like there's a lot of copper, a lot of dark wood, but one of the most striking things is that behind the bar are rows and rows of potted herbs that create this really overpowering scent as you come in and kind of confuse you a little bit. You've got basils and rosemaries and all the kind of slightly more pungent herbs that you might get, and all these are used in various different artisanal drinks.
Mm-hmm.
As we go forward, would you say it was busy? What time of day is it right?
It is still around 6 p.m.
6 p.m. I would say it was getting fairly busy at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a place that Basil comes every day to drink, as he must,
and do business as they must.
Indeed. He does a lot of business here. He does a lot of persuading here. A lot of buttering up here, over drinks.
For now, I think the bartender, who's going to appear tiny, and then I make my monster grow. There we go. Very good.
Hey,
Hey, little fella.
Unfortunately, because of the way that this particularly works, I can't make the pogs in advance and hide them on the GM layer because chat can see it, so it would defeat the point. However, this particular character is Thorn, the owner of the Garden. This basement bar has no windows, and no sensible mortal person would be able to maintain this number of plants in such a small dark space, and yet they come over to Basil and is like, "Good evening. You're here the same time as ever. What can I get you?"
I was thinking maybe one of those. You do that beautiful that strawberry daiquiri with the basil in it. That umami burst.
By your namesake, of course.
Well,
woe betide you get something that doesn't stroke your own ego, but coming up.
Thank you.
Anytime. After all, you do me good business. And we
do each other good business, dear friend.
Absolutely. And they go behind the bar and start expertly mixing drinks, pulling herbs off the wall. More than just basil, there seems to be an additional blend in this kind of thing, and in about a minute, no longer than a minute, even with the blending of the ice and the strawberry syrup comes back with a very dainty glass. It glistens as if it were sparkling with glitter.
Ooh, a Borealis cocktail. I love it. Would Basil refer to this person as Thorn, or do they have like a mortal mod?
Oh, you absolutely know that Thorn, when they are not serving people of Malleus, that they are in fact Dryad, whose real name is Leaves at Autumn's End, but they tend to just go by Thorn when they're on the job.
Thorn?
Mm-hmm.
Does something feel thin to you this evening?
Well, that might be my patience for you. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Very dare.
Yes, it is, as they say. Semaine today.
Oh, of course. I don't know how I could.
After all,
I could forget such a thing.
this is an opportunity to go and see the how do the kids put it? The fam.
Yes, the fam.
The rest of my forest have been separated from me for quite a while, and I'm sure they miss my presence.
Well, you'll have to introduce me this time.
Well, think about it. Enjoy your cocktail.
Thank you. Ooh, ooh, yes, wonderful.
It has a very unique sensation on the tongue. Ice shouldn't feel like this. It almost feels you get like a bite's crisp of a winter's day as you drink this strawberry daiquiri.
Oh lordy, this drink is strong.
Don't have too many of those.
I'll tell you when I've had enough. Thank you very much, Fawn.
Anytime. Before long, though, another person walks into the bar and, suffering no pretense of the space, kind of marches straight up to your table and sits down.
It's Otacon.
You have met this person before. Their name is John Keel. They are just generally a resident of Malleus, and you had granted their desires last week.
John Keel. How goes it?
You have to fix this.
Fix this.
This isn't what I wanted. This isn't. They cough, and rose petals fall out of their mouth.
This is exactly what you asked for. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I said that I wanted the ability to grow my allotment so I could impress, and that worked. And now it's...
That's absolutely fine. What are you complaining about? You got exactly what you wanted.
They exasperatedly wave a rose petal in your face. This wasn't part of the deal.
I don't believe there were specific terms. You got what you asked for, and that there are other things. This is, I think if you think about it really hard, this is the closest to nature you've ever been before. Doesn't this feel exhilarating? This is a frontier yet ventured into by humankind.
They scratch at their neck, and you can see that there is like a small green of chlorophyll where they're scratching.
Well, don't scratch too hard, dear fellow. No, best not. Maybe some mittens.
I want a refund. And they slam their fist on the desk. This situation may need a card to resolve if you want them to leave quietly.
Basil gently places his hand over that fist. And as he does so, I think you probably just need a drink and a little bit of time to think about this and all the possibilities that this could garner you.
I think this is going to be a difficulty 8 check. And remember, you can choose to fail and to draw some cards and suffer the consequences. There's no stats in this game. Well, there's no health in this game, so you're not going to die, but...
Basil is far too proud to fail. So I'll shift and click, is it?
Yes, shift and click to place it face down, but because you're not competing, you can just play it face up.
Okay, so how do I just click on it?
Yeah,
then?
just click and drag it into the field and it'll show it right up.
I see. Boom.
So you're using your power.
Yes, indeed, my desire power.
So what does this look like? You've gone way overboard to be able to convince John Keel to currently leave you alone. So what does this look like? What do you do?
I would like to assert that Basil doesn't necessarily want him to leave him alone. Basil wants him to be a satisfied customer. Basil wants what he got to be what he wants. So I think he orders John Keel a drink from Fawn, and in doing so maybe kind of like attempts to maybe persuade Thorn to remove part of their glass. Show Jonquil something about the way moves or is able to do what he wants and his interaction with his plants there and what he can accomplish, and kind of just inspire his mind into like, oh, maybe the price is worth it. Maybe this could be me.
You reveal the nature of the Fae to this mortal. That's a big fucking move. I like that.
Well, for all he knows, this could be another satisfied customer.
Something I just want to throw out there, because your path is beast. When you use your power, which is desires, you have a choice of either reducing your power by, I believe it's 2, or by taking the cost, which essentially means that somehow at some point this is going to come back to bite you.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's more than wonderful.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
No, I like the idea of this person constantly like re-upping, like, no. Look at this. This is good, and then coming back eventually. And look at this again.
Okay. Yeah. I think we can resolve this. So yeah, you in a small way reveal to Jonquil the existence of the Fae, which is not a thing that they previously knew. They just knew that they could come to you for essentially old-timey remedies for what ails them.
I mean, they knew something.
They believed in superstition, but they didn't know that it was this fucking real. Even behind their mirror-sheened glasses, their eyes go wide, and they're like, It's real? It's real?
Beautiful, isn't it?
They
fashion with rosemary. They're very nice.
They clasp a hand to their mouth in both shock and probably to stifle another cough of rose petals, and without another word, quickly leave the bar.
Satisfaction guaranteed. I think I will have one of those old fashions with the rosemary, please, Thorn, if you would.
Absolutely. Are you?
I don't mind mixing spirits.
Are you sure you're okay with what you just did?
He is. Is he? If he's happy, then I'm happy.
Very good. Excuse me.
Apologies if that was crossing a line with you. I just wanted to show him what he could be doing with himself.
Oh.
You're a great example of
human. No matter what you do, I'll still be here. The trees will outlive any mortal man.
Not the way we're going about it. Get me that drink, please.
You'll be yeah. Like there's like an imperceptible smile on Thorn's face. You'd be surprised. And they go back to working on the cocktail as we pull back out of the bar again and move to the outskirts of the city, to a canal on the edge of town, to which there is music for, and I will try and find. Excuse me a second.
Do let me know if the creaks of my leather chair are getting too loud.
Oh boy, did I not add the music that I had in mind? So that's fine. We're just gonna go with this instead. It's still gonna be sad.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll sing.
Sad energies. Perfect.
Whistle the Lord of the Rings theme tune.
The like hazy rain that Klaus witnessed start has not eased up as the camera pulls onto an empty canal on the outskirts of town. This used to be used for heavy industry from the nearby city, moving steel and mechanics to other cities in the north of England. But with the heavy industry having dried up for computers and lighter jobs, the canal now lies unused. Not even canal boat enthusiasts use this space anymore, and it's grown wild. Phlox likes to hang out here on quiet days. What's Phlox doing this evening?
Indeed. I think this evening, Phlox is. See, by this canal is. I figure there's probably stairs down to the canal so you can enter it, right?
The canal is pretty open air. It's like man-made sides to be able to get boats up and down this kind of stretch. But
Right.
it's pretty overgrown and the water is pretty deep. It would be bad if a human fell in. However, you are definitely not human.
I am no man. Yeah, I think. Ooh, I like this idea. I think Phlox is probably. You just see, after getting some establishing shots of the canal, you just see on kind of like a close up on Phlox's head and shoulders. They are walking along, and you're seeing the canal kind of move past behind them. And like a bridge, one of the bridges going over the canal moves past overhead.
Mm-hmm.
And Phlox turns their head to look down, and the camera cuts, and you see Phlox is walking along the top of the canal and looking down inside and just seeing all of the things lost in the canal, never to be recovered.
Mm-hmm. They long since gave up dredging this for junk. There are all sorts of abandoned bicycles, various detritus, echoing possibly Basil's sentiment that man will rest its hand over nature in terms of how humans like to pollute. This is a visual bookend to that idea. But it is definitely quiet out here. Not even the teenagers come here to smoke anymore, not since the incident. You don't like necessarily scaring people that don't need to be scared, but they were disturbing you.
Yeah, I and really, I think Phlox has a hard time understanding the concept of liking something, at least on a personal note, but certainly realized, this is very inconvenient that they keep coming here. It does make me wonder, as Phlox is walking along, whether when Phlox is here, how they're recalled back when Basil has bidding that he needs done, whether it's just like a simple, whoop, or...
You have, just to give you all of you are witches and know how this works, but you're an expert at it, Phlox. The notion of fairy rings and those being gates to other places. There are plenty that are naturally part of the environment, but you also know how to make some. All it requires is a couple stones and a wayward thought. A loose rumour, and then suddenly that's a door to somewhere else. Secret places take time to get to, but you have all the time in the world. You're not going anywhere. You hear a faint fluttering in the background, swooping overhead and lying on the edge of a shopping trolley is peeking out of the water, and landing on the corner of it is a crow. A Roll20 pre-made graphics crow.
Phlox is absolutely going to go over and just, I think, slowly but steadily approach the crow, just eyes dead focused on it, just walking closer and closer and closer.
Always back up a bit.
And just slowly reaches a hand out.
It hops on one finger and looks at you tilts its head to the side, and then goes, "Right, governor."
Wonderful.
Oh man. Phlox just holds it.
This has to be a pre-existing relationship, right?
It's a good question. I think Phlox takes the crow and holds it up really close to their face, just close enough that they could easily peck their head if they wanted to.
Hmm.
And starts with the oh yeah, I like this, with the other hand just slowly petting the crow.
Its eyes belie the fact that it's actually pleased at being petted, but it's like, stop. I've got an important business.
Phlox stops petting it.
The Winter Court wants to speak to you. It's big news.
I think...
Big news.
I love this crow.
Phlox just slowly turns their head and then tilts their head up, just kind of like looking up into the... I'd imagine it's probably a pretty gray sky today.
Yeah. Awful weather out in it. I prefer sunny days myself. But no, big news. So it's let out season, but Camellia is interested in doing a little bit of head hunting. They need a what was the word that she used? An infiltration professional to do some work for her, and obviously me and the boys. There is an entire murder of these crows that like to gossip. It is the prime way for rumors to make their way around the town of Malleus among witches. However, they're all under the employ of a Winter Court Fey Noble, Camellia. And she hears everything that the crows hear. So if you want to get a message out, she'll probably still hear it. And we put your name forward in it. You do good work for your old boss man.
Man, it's a curious situation, as Phlox isn't quite used to the level of sentient decision making that may be useful for signing on to a job for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of even being given something in exchange for working is a little alien.
Look, I see that you're emotionally torn, so I ain't gonna like pressure you nothing. But let's just put it this way: there's gonna be a lot of people in town square tonight, and the walls are getting incredibly thin, if you get what I'm meaning. And their wings kind of like air quote incredibly thin. Although they air quote the wall, they air quote the word walls with their wings. Surprisingly human-like, even though, you know, very firmly a crow in all physical aspects. And
that's okay. Go ahead.
And she's concerned that there'll be an unnecessary number of people caught up in things. So she wants to make sure that they all stay safe. And lands on your head. You might be the one we need.
I think Phlox lets the idea hang in the air for a moment, and then coming out of the top of their head, it's hard to tell whether it is a set of jaws or a pair of hands, but it just clasps the crow. And
Oi, hang about.
they tighten and grow tighter until they sort of spit the crow out. And when the crow turns back to look at Phlox, Phlox is holding a single feather from the crow and just holds that up.
I think the message that this sends is going to be a play.
Okay.
Whatever intent you wish to kind of provide with this particular message, whether they want to take it well or poorly, will be placed on your play, which I will call a difficulty 7.
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to not click the draw multiple cards button because that's wrong. I think I'm going to... Let's have some fun with this. Give me one moment.
Take your time. I can see you still thinking of an answer.
It's alright.
Diegetic crow noises.
Every time you alter the angle of that crow, I've been holding in laughter so much. It ruins me.
I am going to choose to fail.
Alright. Oi! What do you think you're doing, stealing feathers?
You'll
get no secrets out of me. But if you're turning her down, well, that's your business, innit? You best hope that when she uses the witching hour, that she looks kindly upon you. Don't say I didn't warn you. And it flies away.
Yeah, Phlox...
It just leaves.
Phlox reaches out a hand after it in what certainly seems like regret, but unable to vocalize anything to clear things up. And so, having discarded a card and failing, I will draw 3 more.
Absolutely. You have a max hand size of 7. If you go above 7 cards, you discard till you reach your number again. And with those open, just for the general audience, I know that you know how to play. You made the thing. But with those introductory scenes out the way, let's open the floodgates to you deciding your own scenes. Tonight is indeed going to be the witching hour, and you have all evening to sow whatever plots that you need to do and work out how you can make the best of the situation.
Oh, I think Phlox, maybe for one last thing to do with that scene, Phlox looks at the feather, and you can see in the reflection of the water images of Basil appear. And then they kind of muddy and flow away as the image of Basil is getting possibly argumentative, being like, what? Who gave you that? Or whatever. And a white-haired figure appears in the waters, and Phlox is going to seek out Klaus.
Ooh. Yeah, let's go see Klaus. Where do we want to see Klaus? Because it can be anywhere. It can be back in the clock tower.
Yeah, I think Klaus, because he's a warden, his dominion is the clock tower. It's his home. It's his place where he feels he has the most power.
Absolutely.
And so he tends to stay around it about as much as humanly possible. And I think right now, because he doesn't have to spend time drying out the inside of the clock tower from the water from the Fey realm, he is back at the top of the clock tower looking out, and he is going to see how he can possibly sow some discord tonight. And he's going to watch for anyone that approaches the clock tower.
Absolutely. There are plenty of people who are in the middle of preparing for this party in the evening. They seem to have finished dealing with the town square itself, and it does definitely look like some hapless fool is going to try and decorate the base of the clock tower as well.
Like a flickering grin spreads across his face as he's probably dealt with the situation a couple of times before. There's a reason people don't go to the clock tower.
There is definitely a rumor that misfortune will fall upon you if you visit the clock tower under ill intent.
That may or may not have been spread by Basil.
It may or
How
may not just be
they-
true.
Yeah, definitely. It
I
might be
mean-
true. You never know. How are they trying to decorate? They've just got like bunting and stuff.
Let's see. I think they have a whole bunch of like pumpkins that they are putting out. Both the local high school and primary school have been doing pumpkin carving competitions, and so all of the everybody's work is going to be displayed in front of the clock tower with a winner announced later this evening.
Okay, you know what? How good did he look? Like, how scary?
I mean, some of them have been made by literal 7-year-olds, but
Yes.
So terrifying.
I mean, actually, okay, yeah. So we've got like you see a couple, and some of them are like, this is the like upper high schools, like 15-year-olds. You definitely can see a classic like hot topic goth like creepy cute kind of thing, and you're like, it could be better. You see one that is definitely like could easily fit on the cover of a sludge metal album, and you're like, not bad. And then there's this tiny one, and you're like, the fuck is that? That face is unknowable, eldritch, and it's got like Alex aged 5. And there's a little like a note attached to it.
Okay. Is the person who put them down sort of not looking at the moment?
Yeah, they cannot be looking.
Okay. He's going to go down. In fact, what he's going to do is he's just going to with his legs draped over the railings, he's just going to push off.
Mm-hmm.
And as he does so, he places his hand on the side of the clock tower, and the old, like, the moss and the various, like, bits of old plant that are on the side of it sort of grip his hand as he uses that to slide down relatively quickly.
Nice.
And he is going to look at all the various ones, and he is going to tap a couple of them, and from the back of them sprout a couple of anemones. And this is me basically saying that if I summon assistants, which is something I can do with my Dominion powers, they are going to use these as their catalyst.
Absolutely.
But otherwise, he's going to kick one of the particularly shit-looking ones and then sort of go back up and look out through one of the windows. He's going to leave him alone for the most part. Apart from the one particularly shit one he kicked.
Does Phlox observe any of this, since you are going to go and visit Klaus?
That's a good question. You know, part of me kind of likes the idea of Phlox maybe having a opportunity to accidentally blend in with a crowd of trick-or-treaters.
That works. That definitely works. You pass by a group of kids who are clearly too old to be trick-or-treating, but they love the opportunity to cosplay. Some of them are definitely in literal like anime cosplay, but you kind of blend in among them as they kind of it seems they've all been enlisted to help out with decorating, but they're into the spirit of it, so they don't mind. As you kind of like, there is a splorch sound, and you glance over, and there is a pumpkin dashed against the cobblestones. Pumpkin seed gunk leaking out as if brains across the floor. A couple of the pumpkins have a candle in them already.
Oh no.
There's like a little there's a bit of a shift, and you feel the bottom of the clock tower creak as the bell atop it strikes like 7. And yeah, with that ring, a couple of the pumpkins light up as if they had candles inside. Do they? Question mark.
I think out of a strange sense of sympathy, Phlox sees that, and like their ambient glow gets a little bit brighter too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Just to check, for the pumpkins that got squashed, was that anyone squashing them, or did they auto squash at
That was
the pitching?
Klaus. I'm kind of flavoring this as the moment that Klaus decides to rack a pumpkin, you show up and you catch
Okay, yes.
that having just occurred, but not necessarily had seen Klaus do it, unless you want to see him do it.
Yeah, I mean, Klaus. If Klaus has just done this, then you probably see him like pressing his boot into it and sort of just squelching it across the ground, and then kicking, looking like he's going to kick some of the more particularly shit ones.
I think you are winding up to stomp on one that is just, the lowest possible quality. This is like they tried to do this with a spoon. And you just feel a tap on one of your shoulders out of seemingly nowhere.
Klaus turns around and lets out a rather unmanly, yeah.
Phlox does not respond in any discern. Well, I think actually Phlox tilts their head a bit and maybe taps you on the shoulder one more time as you're facing them, still kind of figuring out how the whole shoulder tapping thing works.
Phlox, I understood you were there the first time.
Phlox reaches a hand up, places it on their head, then reaches seemingly into their head, and then pulls out the feather from earlier and holds it up in front of Klaus.
What enemy did you make, friend? This is one of the crow's feathers.
Let's see how to do this. I think Phlox reaches the feather forward and kind of turns it so that the quill of it is pointing towards Klaus, and taps him on the forehead with the quill, and you just get a lot of echoes of sound of essentially Phlox's memories of the conversation and what transpired.
The Winter Court wants to talk with you. Oi, hang about.
Oi.
Steady on, governor.
You pissed off the Winter Court.
Phlox looks at the ground.
See, now I'm dead, but I'm not stupid. Why did you decide to piss off the Winter Court?
Phlox looks... I think Phlox looks at the feather and drops it on the ground, and when it hits the ground, you get another couple echoes of sound and a couple of visions. These are like a lot hazier and maybe even sketchier, and they're of visions of Basil shouting or maybe laughing, or basically a variety of different reactions to this information that Basil could have given, especially with the hypotheticals of you're working for the Winter Court? No, you work for me. And then like throws a glass of alcohol onto the floor, shattering it or some such.
The bastard. Well,
just to be clear, are these visions speculation, or are they?
Yeah, but they are purely speculation.
Well, if he dislikes the situation, then surely it might be in my favor. Why would you come for me? Do you wish for assistance?
I think Phlox just kind of like slowly turns their gaze to one of the crushed pumpkins and shrugs their shoulders.
Klaus looks at the one he has already crushed. And then when you look at one of the other ones, he continues his kick and stomps that one in.
The camera kind of cuts to a visual perspective of one of the mundane people putting up decorations, and you see in the background a pumpkin just implode, seemingly through no force whatsoever, because obviously as a ghost you are invisible to mortals unless you feel like showing up. They hear the squelch and look at it and see nothing aside from a destroyed pumpkin, and then go back to decorating.
Klaus looks back at Phlox. Well, I do owe you some sort of aid. You are the closest thing I have to any sort of companion in this godforsaken town. If you need my aid, you need but ask for it.
I think Phlox reaches forward, just like slowly reaches a hand out, and plucks a single hair from your head.
Klaus just sort of winces but doesn't otherwise react. I do not see your favor with taking articles from everyone you touch.
Phlox grazes your arm with the hair, and you just hear a lot of echoes of yourself saying, I owe you a favor.
Okay, I quite get it. And he is going to snatch the hair back.
Phlox looks disappointed. You just kind of see their shoulders slouch, and they look down. And I think they might start seeping into the shadows to exit the scene, and maybe see if Basil needs anything.
Yeah, what the fuck's Basil up to? You still drinking?
I think he's just finished like maybe his 5th or 6th drink.
In an hour, hell yeah.
In an hour. This is the price. This is what he has to do every day. Necessarily recreation. This is the tithe he must pay. And I think he kind of steps up ever so slowly, dusts his nicely pressed suit off, like grabs his raincoat, and tries to think what the best course of action for the evening is, and thinks out loud. Now I know that there'll be a lot of people at the clock tower tonight, and that means that would be the best time to convince people that the clock tower should go. But how do I reach? Do I just stand? Is there like a podium, or what's the best way to collectively make people get rid of a large monument? I should see if I should see if Phlox is about. And I think he is there. Is there a way? Not summon, but call Phlox.
Sure, they work for you. How'd you call Phlox to your side?
You're a Motorola Razr, I assume.
He just snaps a flip phone in front of him. No, I think there's just a secret knock that he does on a surface, like a. And I think he does shaving a haircut, and Phlox come in with.
Oh, you cut out briefly.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sorry. You shaving a haircut, and Phlox just.
Yeah, and Phlox comes in and knocks out 2 bits. And Phlox is like, that's how I know he's there.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I think. So, what are you knocking on?
Just the bar.
Okay. Yeah, you knock out. And then from the inside of the bar, you hear. And Phlox just basically slips out from one of the cupboards.
Phlox, I have told you multiple times to not stand behind the bar. That's my domain.
Yes, Phlox, you know the rules. No one behind the bar. I've tried.
Yes, you have, and I hate it every time. Stop.
That tilt kills me.
Phlox crawls back into the cupboard and.
No, come on, out.
Well, Phlox crawls back into the cupboard and then Oh man, I think probably like slips out of a wine glass or something that is on an empty glass that's on a table near the back.
Okay. I'll move towards that. Basil will move towards that table.
Do you need flipping around, friend?
That was
There you
him
go.
appearing out of... Oh, that works too.
God damn. The Benny Hill theme plays.
I was so close to putting it back down. Okay.
Get that off the jukebox now. No. Right. Phlox, my dear manservant. Or person servant. I apologise. Well, so this evening, I have big plans. I'm not particularly sure what those plans are yet, but we're going to do something big. The veil is wafer thin, and we have to do something big that gets me seen, gets me noticed, gets me Fae status. And I think it has to be the elimination of that damned clock tower. It has to go. It absolutely has to go. It's my Everest. It's my Mona Lisa. It's my thingy-majigger. I'm not too up on modern art, but we have to put a plan together to get. A lot of people are going to be there, and I feel like if I could just speak to them, if I could just tell them why it needs to go finally. There's been numerous ad campaigns. We've tried, word of mouth. We've tried flyers. We've tried, to warn people of the dangers of hanging around there. That wretch that hangs around the place does themselves no favor by causing such chaos around it. But there's something I wanted to ask you. This could be if all goes well, our last night together. And Phlox, that question is, what do you want?
Ooh.
More than anything. Go on. Anything. Anything I can help you get. Anything I can help you want or want to get or get you that you want. Let's make it happen this evening. Well, we'll never see each other again.
To very briefly interject, Phlox, you are very, very cognizant of how Basil works in that they seem to feed off fulfilling desires of other people. So that is not a particularly selfless request.
That's true.
I've never managed to get you to speak about it yet, and I know there's something everybody wants, and I just haven't figured out what it is that you want yet because already.
Oh man,
be your last chance.
I think. This is tough, as Phlox is still only just kind of learning, learning how to emotion, basically. Absolute baby familiar. And I think...
Help me help you, help me help you.
Oh, okay. So I think Phlox takes a number of the glasses that are on the tables, like in different states of, some of them are half empty, a lot of them are mostly or completely empty, and just arranges them in a circle. And they put their hands together, and in the same kind of a pointing arrow shape as a diver makes, they, with their hands placed together, they point their hands down in the middle of all of these glasses arranged in a circle. You just see their fingers bend backwards.
Ooh.
And many more fingers than they had before, so that they're all touching the rims of the glasses.
Jesus fuck.
And then the fingers slowly wheel around the edge of the glass, making them all sing, but they sound like laughter, and some of that is children's laughter, some of that is the laughter of old people, but it's...
Are you laughing at me? How dare you?
Phlox Phlox looks
Here
at
I
you
am
and
offering you your greatest desires. That is the last time. The last time that I nice to you.
oh no,
I think this is a contest that could be involved here of trying to get whose emotions are stronger in getting their intent through in this misunderstanding.
Oh my god, this
This seems to be Phlox's thing. He just keeps getting misunderstood.
Oh no, how sad.
Head
I
to
really
head.
wanted for this to go nice, and I was just like, I can't. He's a bastard man. Basil is a bastard man.
See.
Right. So what is the competition between? Sorry.
This feels like a battle of intent, whether Phlox gets their true intent through in their message, or whether Basil's righteous indignation is the domineering tone of this conversation. To play head to head, I don't set a difficulty. You play off against each other, and the highest value wins, including the modifier of your particular skill. So you can have 0, 2, or 4 as a modifier in a particular suit. So your suit is quite important for head to head conflicts.
Oh, I see now. Right. Okay. That's very clever. Right. I'll So we don't have to justify necessarily what kind of card we're using.
It does inform the action that you take, because obviously if you're dealing with this social interaction with the directness and aggression, that kind of flavors how you're handling it, right?
I think this might be instinct.
Okay. Spades, sure.
I am using diamonds for honor.
Remember to shift and drag to play the card face down. Like in regular conflicts, you can choose to not flip your card and therefore lose the conflict. But we both have our card out.
You will sacrifice the card if you forfeit.
Obviously. Actually, that wasn't always the case. That was a thing that we had to do in playtesting, so that's a good point. Okay, we both have our cards out. The stakes are set. In 3, 2, 1, flip.
I don't know how to flip it.
Oh, right
click. There it is.
I have a +3, so I have a 5 total.
I have a plus. Oh god, I have plus something. Shit. I have.
Come on, friend.
I have a +2.
6.
Oh no! Wait, so that means you graze. Oh no.
Mm-hmm. So if you exceed the difficulty of a check or a competition by exactly 1, you graze, which is essentially a critical success. So not only does your particular intent in this conflict win out of the situation, it wins to an extreme degree.
Fuck.
So you were saying you were being really angry about Phlox turning down your generous offer.
How very dare you laugh at me, Basil Black? How very I have done so. I could have done so much for you, and you will. It's fine, because we will never see each other again after tonight. And seeing as that's in our mutual interest, I'm sure you will help me all of the way.
This is probably the most dejected you have ever seen Phlox, but they, after a little bit, they nod.
Very good. I think I should probably have another drink. Can I get you a drink, perhaps, to say sorry, I suppose?
So, are you saying this fully aware that Phlox cannot consume liquid?
It's a pittance.
You know what? I think I feel
it's
like
I'm not sorry, but I should say sorry for appearance's sake. Here's a drink. I know you can't drink.
I think if you want to make this less cruel, there can be a little ritual they have where Phlox will get like just a glass of water and will just kind of enjoy sloshing it around and seeing how the water reacts. But
it's fine. It's fine. I have you covered, darling. Don't worry.
It's at this point, the door opens and initially there's a wisp of cold and damp that comes in, and then anyone who's inside sees Klaus. and he looks at Basil. Bastard.
Cretin.
Looks at Phlox and sees probably looks a bit dejected, and then looks back at Basil. Trouble in paradise, I see.
Well, I've got 2 tickets, if you'd like to join us.
You say you always like to give things people desire to them, correct?
Yes, I pride myself upon it.
Well, I would like to see you choke on your own words like hot coals.
Oh, I'm sure that will happen. That's just a matter of time. Stick around, you might see it.
Take that as my answer, bastard. I'm
Well,
here for
steady
Phlox, not for you.
All right. Well, less of the bastard, please.
What do you wish me call you? Brainless?
Now that's hurtful. Come on now. That's the bylaws of the bar are written right. No name calling.
It's actually a rule.
That's the only one. It's no name calling.
I think Thorn does interject. If you're going to fight in my bar, you can do it outside. And
I'm not fighting. How dare you?
the leaves of all the herbs in the bar rustle ominously.
Now, come on now. That's no. All right. Yes. Well, just maybe be a bit. Just the name is Basil, please.
I think
Basil, if you're nasty, but
Phlox steps forward and moves like kind of not in between the two of you so as to block you, but hearing that you came here for Phlox, they move forward, and then I think they start looking back and forth between the two of you, really unsure of what to do.
As all this stuff happens, Klaus just sort of, without seeming to back down, just sort of takes a seat and says, I will not cause trouble tonight. Not in this place, Fawn.
Basil sits down next to Klaus and says, "There's a good fellow." Now, I've been meaning to talk to you about the clock tower. Is there any way I can get you into a nice duplex, perhaps a studio apartment, something that really suits your aesthetic, maybe like feathers everywhere?
The answer you'll
dusty.
hear is the answer you always get. Stay away from my clock tower.
But I could make you a better clock tower. It could be grander, taller. I have several different clocks for different places on the world. You've got Greenwich Mean Time. You've got
Basil,
the other ones. Yes.
I know someone as heartless as you does not understand sentimentality. But that clock tower means something to me.
I have several hearts, all in jars.
Still, the answer is no. Until my job is completed there, you will not set your foot upon my ground.
So you have a job to do. Well, I can help you with the job. Just tell me what the job is. Let's finish it together. I'll get you done. Come on.
Klaus just sort of looks at you, and he, the relationship between Klaus and Basil, as anyone can obviously see, is very negative. But the way Klaus sees it is Klaus sort of sees the auras of people to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
And, the more extreme someone is in one category, the, more opaque their aura is to him. And in the case of Basil, his aura is basically this malevolent black shadow with, red eyes that occasionally, hums little, siren-like tunes.
Can I add a little bit to that?
Go for it.
I think there's it is malevolent, it is black, and there are a lot of these eyes, but there is this I hesitate to say Naruto-esque kind of fox look to it, that kind of whole Nine Tails energy thing going, and there's definitely an aspect of cunning to it, if it is a little bit dark. It's a bestial kind of darkness, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Klaus just sort of remains quiet, and then completely ignoring you, turns to Phlox.
If I might, just before you start, Phlox, just a moment with my colleague, please. And it pulls Phlox over to one side, just quickly. You heard that, didn't you? There is a job to be done. Now, this is one of your best friends, is it not? Well, let's help them move on. I assume that finishing this job will shove them off this mortal coil. And wouldn't that be a great case of sweet release for them? If you can possibly enlighten me as to what that job is and how we can finish it for them, or finish them, let me know. And anyway, I'm going to go now and plan for something. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself.
Phlox is looking super distressed right now. Klaus, have you told Phlox about this job at all?
I don't think he necessarily has, but you probably get the feeling that the only thing Klaus cares about is he wants to find the person who he believes killed him, or otherwise kill someone that he believes did. And in some sense, if he needs to, that involves destroying the entire town.
If it comes down to it.
Yeah, like if it comes down to he really can't find someone to blame, or whoever it was, he will destroy everything.
And
that's what he's planning to do.
Will take a lot of magic. In fact, the amount of magic that you saw on a mortal like Basil Black, that's a lot. You wonder what they've been sacrificing for that level of magic power. You don't get that for free. You give something up.
Yeah, and Klaus is sort of looking for a way to not necessarily gain that power for himself, because he understands that comes with sacrifices he does not want to take. But he wants to find a way to complete his goals without giving something away.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
So yeah, you don't really know exactly what it is, you just know that he wants revenge for his death.
Are you gentlemen quite finished? You're starting to disturb the guests.
The
whiskey.
bottle plants shake again.
Klaus turns to Fawn. A bourbon on the rocks, please.
If you can drink it. I have a feeling that we're going to be... Actually, I must admit, for the remainder of today, I'm going to be putting a kibosh and serving alcohol. We have a lot of young ones in this part of town today for the Sarmaine Festival, and it would not do to serve something more potent than pumpkin spice lattes. So, I'm afraid I can't give you a bourbon, but... And they smile placidly. If you'd like an orange juice, I'm more than happy to comply.
Klaus just sort of... He kind of wants to argue, because he does like drinking and he doesn't really give a crap that there's going to be a bunch of kids around. But he just sort of sighs, seeing that he's not really going to win this argument. And he's just going to say, a coffee then.
Very good. In fact, since there's going to be a lot of people in town today, I might recommend you go and spend some time somewhere a little more peaceful if you don't want to be disturbed. The library is a good place, or maybe St. Germain's Church.
I will consider the options. Thank you.
Very good. And even during that very small conversation, an espresso has been produced. You didn't see them make it.
Okay. I imagine Klaus has been here maybe, a couple of times before, so he's gone past this.
Yeah, this is just how Thorn operates. Making drinks is very, very easy for them to do. Simple magic, really.
He's going to take it, sip from it, and he can actually drink. He can force himself to become
corporeal
and,
enough to be able
corporeal.
to. Yeah.
He just doesn't necessarily get a sustenance out of it as much. And he turns to Phlox. So, what should we do about your misunderstanding? And if he can see the feather, he is going to gesture to the feather.
I think Phlox uses the same gesture as before, just shrugs, but they don't look up at you. They're still looking at the floor of the bar. They're still feeling quite dejected that they're one chance of getting something that could really help them be something more was cruelly dashed.
Oh god, it felt so bad but so good at this.
Klaus sees this rather dejected bit because he's never seen Phlox do that before. And he is going to raise an eyebrow and say, I did not see the problem you were having with the bastard. But I presume he did something. What did he do?
I think Phlox takes one glass from the circle and just using their pinky finger makes a ring around it, and you just hear I think you hear a child laughing as they move their pinky around the ring. And all of a sudden, they snatch they basically rip their pinky. They're moving it around the glass, and then I think they grab the glass, shattering it, and you just hear Basil's even voice echoing.
Nasty.
We nasty in the US. Basil's voice just going, no!
Okay, Klaus immediately understands probably what happened. And sort of, he laughs a little bit. You mocked him. I'm surprised you can do that.
Phlox looks up wide-eyed and just kind of starts shaking, just like their body starts quivering and they're shaking their head.
Well, regardless, he seems to be offended. Good.
This is heartbreaking.
I think on that
I respect it.
I might want to go and wind down the scene there so we can have a change of scenery to elsewhere within the town. Clocks are ticking, and you don't necessarily have plans for what you're going to do at the witching hour.
Yeah, that's fine. Klaus is going to finish his espresso, and he is going to get up and start to leave, and he's going to head towards the church. Because if anything powerful is going to be going on in the witching hour, he thinks it might start there. And he's going to turn to Phlox as he leaves and says, if you wish to follow me, you may. I may need your assistance. And he will leave.
I think Phlox is going to sit in the bar for now and probably take the shattered glass and just kind of absorb it into their body so that they're not leaving a mess.
It looks awful, and I think we cut on that scene. Oh, actually, no. The sound of like slightly tinkling and crunching glass becomes the sound of footsteps through dried and broken grass and reeds of the edge of St. Germain's Church as the scene transitions. St. Germain...
Too good for this world, too pure.
St. Germain's Church is pretty dilapidated. It was never in astounding condition previously, but time has not been especially kind to it. And there's only been one person really looking after it in its recent days anyway. A half-blind and definitely more than a little deaf priest known as Arum endlessly kind of paces across the grounds, trying to slowly clean up at the same rate that the building crumbles. But it is
Plot twist, it's Santa.
incredibly quiet here.
And occasionally shouts for court to come into session.
Yeah, no, it is definitely art from. I'm glad that in the general selection of video game character art, there's only been one instance of people being like, I know who that is. I'm glad that generally the selections have been obscure enough where that's been fine. But yes.
All right.
Mhm.
So he's just sort of sweeping, generally mooshing around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Klaus is going to materialize at the door, and he's going to walk in. Oh. Oh yeah, he's deaf, isn't he?
Good evening. They can hear you.
Oh, okay.
It seems, and actually I guess this is a thing that if you've been here before, you probably have the general gist of it. Aram is indeed deaf, but they do seem to be very well attuned to the Fae and magic in general, and as long as you remain incorporeal, they are more than able to see and hear you.
Okay. Klaus just sort of nods. Have you noticed anything strange happening? Anything leading up to the witching hour?
The air grows thin and cold.
Story of my life.
Every year. But separate to that, I sense an ill intent.
And where do you sense this ill intent from?
They stare into the middle distance, which to people in the room would look like they're just staring into a blank wall. They're probably looking directly at the ill intent many miles away. Or not many miles away, this is a relatively small town, but you know, they're looking directly at the ill intent.
In that direction.
But, yeah. There's many, but a new one has burned slightly brighter than ones I've heard previously. It is of some concern.
Well, then allow me to alleviate this town of that horror. If you give me some aid, I shall make sure that this malevolent is not used for unfit purposes.
I think Aram will need some convincing.
That is fair. Because I am lying out of my ass.
Uh-huh. I think this one's a bit spicier. I need at least a 9.
Awesome. Okay.
Or rather, the difficulty is 9, so it has to be 10 or higher, so then you graze and what have you.
That's fine. I'm literally trying to find the card I want to get rid of.
Remember, the suit does matter for the tone of your approach.
Okay. Ooh. I'm going to use this.
You're using your special abilities.
Yes, Dominion. Representing revenge, domination, and command.
Oh, okay.
And I think what's going to happen is that Arum is going to feel the unnatural coldness that comes from Klaus slightly heat up, but only in particular parts. And Klaus is going to reach forward as if touching Arum, despite the fact they're nowhere near each other. And where he touches, there's like fire and brimstone. And he is going to say, "You tell me what I need to know, and I do not have to hurt you. This is more than your old body can deal with."
And indeed, Arm's eyes open wide, milky and unseeing as they fall to their knees. They go, "Ah, it burns! Please, stop. Stop."
Klaus does.
Very well. You're familiar with the power of Malleus Clock Tower.
I am.
It is where the border between this world and the glamour is at its thinnest. But it can only be pierced with a single needle.
And do you wish to speak in anything except rumors?
They look away. The minute hand. When an appropriate sacrifice is made, it can pierce the veil.
And is there any specific nature to that sacrifice?
Please forgive me. I do not know.
Klaus just sort of smiles, and is that very sickly, sweet kind of smile. That is fine. You give me room to interpret.
I might know, on the other hand. And, the voice comes in the direction from outside, distant yet at a volume that you could very easily hear. And you look into the courtyard of the dilapidated church. There is a number of toppled gravestones that form a loose circle, and rising from the middle of it is a lady. You recognize this lady. She is the noble of the Winter Court, Camellia, rather.
Lady Camellia. And Klaus does go down onto one knee as a sign of respect.
Very good. Very good. It seems there are many people interested in this particular witching hour. I would expect that you'd be very invested, you being so close to home. But I do have a polite request.
What is it?
Please don't rise above your station. This is magic's way too powerful for you.
Is this you warning me, or you threatening me?
And you feel like a cold winter wind eddy one way and then eddy the other, as if not the winter wind equivalent of a little of column A, a little of column B.
Then my question is, what are you wishing to do this witching hour, my lady?
Oh, well, those are incredibly powerful Fey secrets. I could tell you for a price.
And what would that price be?
There's more than enough magic out here. I could definitely tell you how to go and pierce the veil. And then you do it for me, and I can share some of that power with you. But you don't really seem one for allegiances. And I will tell you this for free. If you tried to do this sacrifice on your own, why, you'd use up what little essence you still have clinging to this mortal plane.
Klaus thinks about it and then stands up. I do have an offering I am willing to make.
The noble flips on heel and starts slowly walking towards Arum to pick them up off the ground. Continue.
Have you ever heard the name of a Fey hopeful called Basil Black?
Get fucked.
Ah, the Autumn Court. Hopeful. Not that he should be hopeful. What of him?
He seeks to step into the Fey realms, as I have heard.
Hmm.
In that way, he seeks to take over your domain.
Oh, such a tiny child has no hope of setting but even a fingernail on a true Fae, as much as they delude themselves as thinking that they can buy their way in. This isn't
Maybe.
mortal aristocracy. You can't buy your way to the top. Well, you can, but not with money.
Maybe he does not. But he thinks he can. And that will be at least some annoyance to you. If I offer to... You say I cannot do the sacrifice alone. How about I kill 2 birds with 1 stone?
Oh, that's an interesting bargain. An interesting bargain, indeed. And I think the scene ends there.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Don't fucking play.
Out of character, I'm sorry. Like, in character, nope.
I'm feeling everything in this scene in character. Knocking
Why-
Basil. I was like, heartbreaks, like. You just hear him going, ah! In the background.
Okay. I think this is... Meanwhile, while Klaus was finding out some information, Basil was like, I have plans to do. I'm not going to hear him argue with you. So Basil stormed off somewhere.
Sin.
Where did Basil head off to for their nefarious deeds?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think up a reasonable... There's a part of my mind, to be frank, there's a part of my mind that's like, well, Basil should just go and get some plastic explosives and blow up the town. but his ultimate goal, what Basil thinks will get him into the Fae is this one great act of making everybody want the same thing, getting so many people to want something that they shouldn't or don't, and like he wants all these people in his town to want rid of this clock tower. And it's not even that he hates the clock tower; he just needs that surge of power he feels to be recognized by the Fae Court, and if he does not break through, at least be seen. Oh, to be seen, and that's his desire at the moment. That's all he wants.
Well, 2 things, darling. One thing, while you might not be able to source some C4 on the fly, magic is capable of doing literally anything as long as you're willing to make the right sacrifice. So you could turn a mere brick into an explosive as long as you gave up something, at least emotionally, of equal exchange to do so. Also, to go and convince a large number of people of one thing also sounds like pretty big magic, and could probably also require a great deal of magical power to be able to do so, and that might require some looking into as to about how you can. So,
if I know these things, then I think I want to do the most. I don't know if I've got time this evening, though. I want to do a really selfish, selfless thing and find this and use that as some kind of magic fuel. But I don't see how any person would feel, or a single RPG session, as it were. So, I think he's heading to the clock tower. I think he's heading to assess the situation and see how he might set up a podium or a rally, as it were, or some kind of like, hey, this is the time tonight, Halloween. We break down this horrific thing, and
he starts putting up banners.
I think that's definitely a thing that you can do. I like the idea of that. Basil Black appeals to the people. And
in my head, he's been doing this for months anyway. So the seeds are laid, as it were.
Oh, sure. I get what you mean. we are definitely gonna have you be at the spot in the middle of town. There is a mayor of Malleus, I think. And I'm gonna use the pog for something else, but then maybe they could even be the same person. Who knows? It's a small town. The mayor of Malleus, whose name is Mint, is currently practicing something atop a podium in the town square.
Ah, Mayor Mint. Mayor Mint, how are you this fine evening?
Good evening. What
Yes,
can I do for you?
I
I'm
mean, how
actually
you were, but-
I'm actually doing quite well. I always enjoy this time of year. It's so festive.
Yes, it's very festive, very good, very good for the humours, as it were. I was wondering what you might be announcing on this rather dashing podium tonight.
Well,
You hear the knock from inside the podium, but
Oh, God.
Phlox knows enough to not pop out.
yeah. Phlox is also here. Phlox is
Thank you.
Just
tiny
like to
and also
exercise
here.
that power. I've literally not. Yes, tiny Phlox. Okay.
Well, I was
Baby.
oh no, a handful of different things. After all, we need to go and announce the winner of the pumpkin carving competition. Although it seems there have been a few. And Mint looks over her shoulder at the handful of destroyed pumpkins. A few sacrifices.
Well, if you want to make a pumpkin omelette, you have to break a few pumpkin eggs. I don't know what I'm saying. More to the point.
But in addition to that, I just wanted to make sure that that everybody's happy. These are hard times that we're in. After all,
of course. Yes, the whole economy and things. Poor people, but more to the point, happiness. Yes, that is something I keenly understand. So I was wondering if it might be possible, as one of my most stalwart supporters of my movement to demolish this gaudy and dangerous clock tower to build something new, you'd allow me some time on the podium this evening.
Mint frowns when at the kind of disparaging of the clock tower. The clock tower is an important part of Malleus town heritage.
Now, I know full well that you don't believe that. I think that is tradition talking, and tradition is the enemy of modern democracy. You know this.
I would suggest that if you're unconvinced by the nature of how important the clock tower is, that you take a walk through its halls, across its stairs, look at its carvings, and you'll see there is beauty and wonder in its design.
Perhaps you have a few moments to show me.
Mint squares herself up. You know what I do? And she closes the book that was on the podium and tucks it under her arm. If you'll follow me.
Can I see what the book is?
Sure, that's a test.
I've got to think of a book, or is that
No. I think that's a test. That's a test to do. You have to play a card to go and get a read at what this book is.
Okay.
What drama will come from failing?
It is difficult. It's difficulty 9.
Jesus fuck. Right. So, before I do that, then
you could choose to fail and draw 3 cards.
I will do that. Please.
Well, first of all, you play a card.
I've got to put a card up. Right. I was going to sacrifice 2 of my power to get some cards, but that's better. Actually, I think I'll just.
You can also
this one in. Go on.
You can also, sacrifice 2 cards to increase your power by 1. Both are valid.
Okay, well, I'm gonna just. Oh God, no!
Oh,
Don't do that. Roll 20.
And I should mention, while you work the gears, as your servant, when we're in the same scene and you increase your special, my special also increases. So I can help you out even better.
Okay, so
You have some options.
so how would I do that then? How would I increase yours? So I have to discard 2 cards to. Right.
Yes,
Well, I won't do that.
but
I'll do
you
that
can.
after this when I've got more cards.
Yes, I was just gonna say you could do that anytime, so you can draw your cards first.
Okay.
So
we'll
that
draw.
card goes to the discard pile.
Do I need to flip it or?
I mean, sure, let's flip the card. It's fine. It's Jack of Spades and it's diamonds. It's vanished deep into the depths of the discard pile. It's too late now. It's gone.
My goodness.
Did you
So
draw
I
2
draw
cards for yourself, or shall I deal them
2?
to you?
I'll draw that. I want this power for me.
Oh, yeah, you failed, so it's
It's
3. It's 3 cards.
3 cards, yes.
3 cards. Wonderful.
Also, to resolve the failure, Mint catches you craning your neck to see what the book is, and she narrows her eyes at you and is, no, it's impolite to read over a lady's shoulder.
Apologies, I'm just a patron of the arts, modern literature and all that.
I don't think it's your type of reading, to be honest.
Well, lead on,
Absolutely.
Madam Mint.
And the sound of secretarial style heels clacking across cobblestone.
So can I straight away discard those 2 cards to put both our powers up?
Yeah, if you want, go for it.
Yeah. So can I just click them into the?
Yeah, just drag them
Face
onto
up,
the
or-
field and then just drag them into the discard pile. Oh, you're getting rid of all the 5s.
Where we're going, we don't need 5s. So I get 1 more power then.
Yeah.
So
And
good.
I get 1 more honor.
Power increases. Yeah, there is a long kind of like tour of the workings and history of the clock tower, which takes a decent chunk of time. But
Yes.
you can tell that Mint is used to telling it, which is of no surprise. She is definitely a historian because she also runs the town library.
Every time she describes something beautiful to me, I want to make it seem ugly or degenerating in some way, crumbling or dangerous, rather dangerous than anything else.
Okay, that I think is also a play
Yes.
for the effect of it. I think this is easier for you, so this is a difficulty 6.
Okay. So I just have to play a card.
Uh-huh.
And to modify, so I assume that I'm justifying the one I'm using.
The method with the suit that you're playing, yes.
Yes, so I'll be playing a diamond,
Okay.
which is for my power, but it's hearts, colours, and locks. So I'm using the colours and hearts aspect of that to kind of like sour her image of this beautiful thing and subvert her desire to see it stale.
Sure. Go and play the card. Very good, very good.
And that's a +6, so...
Yeah, it definitely succeeds. The tour peters out halfway through. You know.
Oh, are we stopping?
Yes, I have a feeling I'm boring.
I see the merit of the things.
I have a feeling I'm
I
boring
just,
you, and I must admit, maybe at this type of view, you'd be more interested in doing.
Not at all. The local history fascinates me, but the safety regulations and codes I studied just tell me that this is a very dangerous building, and I'm a little nervous.
This building is quite old, I must say. After all, there are many pieces of old architecture here that are registered.
Perhaps
Phlox.
some of those could be saved.
Phlox.
Mm-hmm.
Where we've currently stopped, there is a fresco carved into the wall, and it depicts in kind of classic gothic horror fashion somebody holding a heart aloft, and another person with a long sword, spear, something like that.
Something phallic.
Something long and sharp. It could even be a needle. It's hard to get a sense of scale of size, but poised as if to pierce this heart as part of the fresco. It's a thing that just you notice.
I think specifically we see Phlox noticing this by like a hyper close up on Phlox's eyes, wide angle, like almost fisheye lens, as you just see the fresco reflected in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Really makes you think.
Mint, for what she's got going on, is like, oh, well, you said that you wanted to go and address the people.
I do only if it will save some of the beautiful architecture in here that could perhaps be moved somewhere else.
That seems like a valid concern to address, and I must admit, with the cheer of Halloween, I'm in a good mood. So, after I announce the pumpkin carving winner at 11:30 p.m., the floor is yours for about 10 minutes or so to appeal.
I mean, that's a little late for my taste. It's not exactly prime time, but I'll take it.
I am afraid that it's going to be a very busy itinerary for the evening.
I mean, you've got me on after 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, but
yes,
fine,
I can smell the alcohol on your breath, actually, now that you've come to mention it.
Well, you'd forgive me some libations on a day like today. You've never been in the garden, have you? And with a name like, I think you should join me there sometime.
Don't lean too hard in the wall that everybody has a plant name here. I am not really one for drinking. Clouds my judgment.
Well, they do a mean water.
Let's I have to make sure that the remainder of the decorations are ready. Let's make our way back to the surface, shall we?
Well, yes, of course.
Mm-hmm. And I think with that,
he kind of like does that little fist motion of like tracked, like he was earnestly trying to get a date for.
oh God!
Like one time, wasn't trying to use magic because it was like.
Oh no! Mint is radiating powerful lesbian energy.
I mean, what else would he go for? To be fair, the douche that he is.
But yes, I think the scene ends with everybody kind of making their way up the stone staircase, and the camera does not follow as footsteps kind of go up the stairs.
Ooh, one more thing that I'd like to
Go ahead.
Slip in. Oh, love the ominous.
Yeah.
Good.
Is as we're ascending the steps, I think Phlox has been just very literally sticking to the shadows at this time, maybe, popping out to examine the fresco.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for a brief moment, they move behind Basil, and I'm going to use a point of my honor. I'm spending a point of my honor to trade cards with Basil.
Oh, you fuck!
I will give you a card, and I will take a card from you.
I do believe you can do that in Roll20 by clicking on the card and choosing with request to trade.
Okay, now I need to figure out. Oh, I can't actually open up.
Oh, you can't make
hand.
them visible.
I can for Klaus, but not for.
I could type it in our chat if you like.
Oh, that's yeah. I can't open.
No. You. I mean, just give me the leftmost card.
Oh, you don't get to see it.
No, I don't get to see it beforehand, and you don't get to see the card that I give you.
How strange. I can only look at Klaus's cards. How odd. You would figure as GM ability I would be able to do the thing. You resolve that among yourselves while I work out why Roll20 isn't giving me GM permissions. I'd look it up, but I would have to tab away from Roll20.
Okay, so are you
Okay.
putting it? So
Yes, and this
actually-
is the card that I'm putting in.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Huh.
And I think the way that this looks is, Phlox reaching into Basil's pocket. What do they take out and replace it with, or at least what is something that Basil is carrying around that is a particular?
I think he's carrying a hip flask.
Ha! Oh man,
His safety blanket.
I actually quite like the idea that Phlox unscrews the hip flask, and I think using shadow magic siphons out the alcohol inside and replaces it with the water from their glass from the
From the bar, the garden.
yes, thank you, from the garden.
I was almost expecting you to say canal water and went, oh shit, but yeah, this is reasonable.
I mean, regardless of the description, fuck you.
Love you, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that particular kind of like exchange going as the scene closes, we reconvene with an aerial shot of the town square. It's now dark. There are plenty of people now out in force, all dressed up in costume, enjoying the festivities. And Mint is on the podium and is like, and the winner of the pumpkin carving competition is little Alex, aged 5, with this thing, and shows the as described before, eldritch looking pumpkin.
Yeah, I thought so.
It ominously, those attuned to magic in the town square, which is more than you would expect, feel an ominous hum from this thing. This thing is filled with some dark energy. It's also one of the ones that Klaus turned into a minion. Because of course it is.
I am very sorry I dropped out for a second.
It's all good. Lil Alex won the pumpkin carving competition. And everybody cheers, genuinely cheers. They're all in a really, really good mood. And, you know, some fireworks kind of go off. There is a very safe bonfire with people making baked sweet potatoes. There's everybody in costume. It is a fun time had by all. And yeah, there's this just general kind of like celebrations going on. The clock tower rings a bell, for past, which is both the time that Basil has been allotted to go and appeal to the crowd, but also the camera pans up to the top of the clock tower and we see Klaus and Camellia poised high above. Let's rearrange slightly for where people currently are at.
For dramatic purposes.
Yeah, it's why we've got tokens. You are at the top of the clock tower, perfect. Where's Phlox at the moment?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Phlox is probably at the base of the clock tower, watching all of the, celebration and ceremony from a distance, ready to appear wherever needed, summoned by a simple.
And the podium has to also be there, surely.
Basil is at the podium, Mint.
Oh, actually, I just realized I'm going to rewind what I said slightly.
Yeah,
Phlox is not at the base of the clock tower. Phlox is currently sitting on one of the gargoyles on the clock tower.
Ooh.
Partway up.
Ooh.
Okay, now we can continue.
Sitting up here, just kind of like Chillin'. Perfect. Yeah, at the top of the clock tower, Camellia it appears next to Klaus. Klaus, you don't necessarily look around, but you feel a couple flecks of snow land upon your slightly hazy form.
So I need to use the minute hand. Is that correct? That is
Yes.
a needle.
To pierce a heart rent by magic, yes.
Hmm.
Any
That should
heart will
be-
do.
It should be easy enough. And Klaus sort of flexes his hand, and I imagine, unless I have to try and make a test for this or something,
Mhm.
that he just uses his powers to clip off the minute hand and perhaps replace it with like a vine replacement. So it still looks like there is one. And then it's going to carry up the tower and into his hand.
That feels like a thing that is going to be difficult to get people not to notice because everybody is in town square right now. So give me an 11 difficulty check.
Okay.
You can choose to fail.
Do I know what choosing to fail would do in this situation?
Things go badly for you.
That's great.
But you do draw
fail.
3 cards.
Sell my cards.
I'm gonna choose to fail.
Okay.
Yay.
Play a card, and that gets put into this card pile, and you draw 3 cards.
Okay, I'm just gonna put this out. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have no low cards.
Way to reveal your hand there, but go and draw 3 new cards.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Who shuffled this deck?
So, describe the process of like you're casting this magic to go and remove the minute hand from the clock tower face.
I think the process is very much like he puts his hand on the railing, and like the veins in his hand sort of bulge and creep outwards, and it creeps past his fingernails down the railing, and you can see as they come out what looks like they should be like blood red kind of veins turn like a very sickly green and grow like little, yellow roses and other small flowers as it creeps downwards towards the clock face. And the clock face just sort of becomes almost a little bit consumed with these like little tendrils of vines. As the minute hand just snaps off, and in its place, like some of the tendrils come in place to just basically try and replace it so it doesn't look like it's snapped off. And then in that sort of show, it's the minute hand is just going to sort of creep back, being dragged up. Except what happens?
As you try to remove the minute hand, it seems that it is a little rustier than you were expecting and snaps off a little too easily and falls away before you have the chance to grab it. Camellia says nothing but moves, and you can feel the cracks of frost start skittering down the side of the building at speed, but even she is not fast enough to go and catch this falling minute hand. And midway through the last line of Basil's speech to the public, being...
I was going to do a whole speech.
Oh, you were going to prepare to do a whole thing. I didn't realize you improv that far ahead.
I was working my way up to it. I was panicking a little bit. But
it's all good. This is an easy out. Yeah.
I think he says a few different things that I'll paraphrase. And he talks about how, old it is, how broken down it is, how the beautiful architecture inside could be saved to make way for something new and beautiful, and that it's in everyone's best interest to get rid of this thing and get it out of the way, and tonight is as good a time as any to start on the momentous decision. And I think the final lines of what he's saying is about how they can finally put the darkness of the murder that took place here to rest.
And I think with that, there is a as the minute hand buries itself into a pumpkin in the background and the concrete.
Oh, could we not say into like the podium in front of him?
I specifically wanted to impale one of these
No,
pumpkin
fine.
effigies.
That's fine.
I think the cracks in the ground glow slightly, and you feel everybody, I think, feels a
replay real quick.
Sure thing.
We'll just move that hand back up a little bit, and before it hits the pumpkin in the ground, it's one that Basil entered into the competition himself with his own face. In some vain hopes that he might win. So we just see it go back, and then in slow motion, like frame by frame,
it just slams into the pumpkin. And interestingly, it seems that because you put some effort into that, and it was sacrificed by this falling minute hand, that was a small amount of magic, but some magic, and all of you feel the faint wobble of like a thin film of soap bubble being pulled taut, and the space feels now almost 50-50 between the mortal realm and the glamour. It is 20 minutes to midnight.
Do I need to play any kind of card to try and convince the crowd, or have I not enacted enough magic generally to...
I think to be able to convince all of them of this thing, you do not have the power on your own to do this.
That's fair.
It's going to require a big thing to go and change the minds of this number of people wholly and simultaneously.
Could I just as I feel like it might be too late now, but I would maybe try and get Phlox to maybe like sow some whispers of dissent in the crowd of their own voices.
You can command Phlox to do that.
I didn't realise this is how this would kind of play out, I suppose. But yeah, could I, like, as I'm talking, like... and just kind of, like, motion him to kind of sow whispers of dissent into the crowd, like, yeah, that's... Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's... Ooh. No, yeah, it's dangerous. Oh, look how dangerous it could...
We'll rewind a little bit for that. Sure thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think as... Phlox, let's see, how should this look? I
think as he... I don't know what your plans for doing it are, but definitely as he sends you out, he just kind of, like, goes to take a sip from his flask to kind of, like, bolster his courage, and then realises, like... And there's this cold sweat of panic on his forehead that sinks in as he's giving this speech, and he doesn't usually... He's very good at this. He doesn't usually have to try too hard, but he's trying very hard right now, and just that kind of knock of confidence is a little evident as Phlox kind of moves away from the podium, if they do.
Yeah, I think Phlox, it absolutely does step away from the podium. Oh man, how bastard do I want to get? You know what? This is Mystic Lilies. We're entering at most the last 20 minutes of this. Probably.
Yeah, this is the big bit. Go hard or go home.
So Phlox is going to walk alongside and weaving through the crowd of people who I believe can see them.
Sure.
And just as they go, they are, I think, is this on grass or cobblestone?
Cobblestone.
Okay, as with every step, instead of some kind of click-clack, there are whispers that come from their feet. But they are not of anything affirming about tearing down the tower. They're all... he seems nervous. Do you think he really knows what he's talking about?
Oh,
and as Phlox is moving through, of course, I'm going to play a 7 of Hearts to activate Tabula Rasa, which means that for the rest of the scene, I leave no trace of my presence. Footprints disappear, doors relock themselves, and non-player characters forget they ever saw me. So none of them can really remember or process the shadowy figure they see walking among them. All they hear are the words sowing the seeds of doubt.
Oh, and then we fast forward to the pumpkin being destroyed by the minute hand, and yeah, all of you feel like a bubble wall being pulled taut, and the it's almost nearing a 50-50 balance between the real world and the glamour.
I think Basil is kind of whispering under his breath, "I will be Fae. I will be Fae. I will be Fae."
And at this point, Klaus sees, like, does Klaus know? Well, firstly, does Phlox know that Klaus is there?
I don't know that Phlox does know that Klaus is, or where Klaus is.
Okay. Because I think, would Klaus be able to hear, like, the words of doubt that you're sowing in Basil?
Ooh, I'd like to say so. I like the idea that at the very least, you know, you as a magical entity and not as a non-player character would not have your memory erased of seeing Phlox move through the crowd. So you would certainly be able to see that happening.
Okay. Klaus sees all of... Ooh, you go first.
I was just going to say, even if Basil doesn't know that you did it, he knows that there's no confidence in what you just said.
Yeah. Klaus sort of seeing all this happening and, you know, seeing basically the murder weapon has fallen down, and, you know, he needs to go get it. He basically goes incorporeal and jumps off the clock tower so that he lands and isn't seen by the NPCs.
That's fine. For NPCs, you don't need to play a card to do that. You can clown on them all day.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the others, like, you know, Phlox and Basil can see him. That's fine.
Are you here on a... Oh, actually... No, this is fine. You hear on a snowflake as it brushes past your ear, Klaus. Use it, and don't disappoint me.
Okay. I'm guessing use it as the minute hand. Okay.
No, use what your mother gave you.
Klaus starts twerking.
Don't disappoint her.
Don't disappoint me.
Oh dear. Yeah, so Klaus is going to nod even though, you know, likely she can't see. And he is going to use one of his powers.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh man.
Is the mayor nearby?
Yes.
The mayor is near Basil right now, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't you yes this? How dare you?
I know it's gonna happen and it's cool.
You're my trusted familiar. How dare you?
I am going to use possession.
Please read out the description of possession for the table.
So, possession. I choose an NPC also in this scene and control them. When I resolve conflicts, I play cards for them. It ends after they lose an opposed conflict, an hour passes, or you choose to possess another NPC. I choose to possess the mayor.
Absolutely.
Why don't you like me?
Let's go and give them a token. There you go.
I'm such an affable rogue.
Yeah, they are now possessed by you. What do they do?
Klaus is going to order them to get Basil off stage.
I think he's probably already off by now.
Is he already off? Okay. Then what's everyone else doing in the scene? As in, what are the NPCs now doing? What's the crowd doing?
I think the crowd is moving on to... there's going to be a fireworks show at midnight for the celebration of Semaine. And everybody's getting pretty hyped for that. So they're all gathering around in the town square. They've all got like sweets and baked potatoes and just huddling together in the cold air. The air has gotten notably colder.
Okay. What Klaus is going to get the mayor to do then is to talk to Basil and get him to come back into the clock tower.
Basil?
Yes?
Thank you for putting together such a wonderful speech. I think it's relatively important that we go and take stock of which one of these items which one of these artifacts we're going to keep, if any, inside the building.
I mean, I'm no architect. I
Well, you gave such an impassioned speech about wanting to save the important art within the clock tower. I figured you would have good insight on what has the highest value.
My dear, that was all for you. I'm not going to be a dick about it. I won't be that.
Oh no! This is now a conflict.
Yeah.
So since Klaus plays cards for Mint, this is now a head-to-head in playing to convince the other person to do what they want.
Okay. Give me a second as I look up which stat is best to do this with.
I literally cannot justify using desire here.
I manipulate my own desire to say no.
I really don't want to do this. Bye.
Bye.
Play your cards, fool. Or are you backing out?
Sorry, I'm trying to decide. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Oh fuck! I'm gonna die. Right. Okay.
I mean, not necessarily yet. Ooh, face up.
Oops,
Sorry,
shit.
I pressed the
Okay.
wrong button.
I mean,
Caps instead of shift. I'm sorry.
oh no.
Okay. What do we do in this situation? Yeah.
Did you not
Okay.
have a card already?
No, I didn't have one out. I was actually about to put it down.
Okay, put down the
I will
cards.
put it down
Yeah.
face up. Shit.
It's fine. There we go. I like that you're both being forceful in this situation. No.
Mine's an 8.
I
So
insist.
You crit, I think.
Oh, is there any modifiers to that club?
Yeah, do you have any modifiers?
So mine's 8, so I think you technically crit with a
I
graze.
do, because mine's 0.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I think Mint, because they're using force, grabs Basil by the shoulder and just digs their fingers in.
Jolly good. Yes, let's go.
Meanwhile, God, I wish I forgive me for moving things about. I have to get a pog that I've moved off screen. A crow shows up.
It's fine. I did not expect this to happen.
You're valid.
Oh, God.
The crow shows up next to Phlox and says, "Well, seems the lady of Winter's watching you. She's judging what you do next. It'd be a shame if that clock hand over there went and buried somewhere where it shouldn't be. Those things are real sharp.
I'm so sorry, Basil.
Just saying. Just
You
saying."
liar.
And it flies off.
Phlox slowly walks over to the minute hand,
Mm-hmm.
picks it up, and just watches the sheen of the moonlight's reflection change as they tilt it. And then they look over to the clock tower and sink into the shadows, bringing the minute hand with them.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Klaus comes out from like behind a corner and is just like, I see. And he is going to move to walk into the clock tower.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as he walks in, he is going to shut the doors.
Yeah, they just close. They close by themselves. Absolutely.
No. I did say come to the. However,
I
feel like
must
this is moving a little bit too
insist
fast.
that this particular mural is of great interest to me, and if there is a way that I could remove it from the wall, they're juddering a little bit. We should keep this. It's a priceless artifact. And
I would
Mint
not
has
know.
taken
Please
you.
allow me to leave.
The Mint has taken you before the fresco of the man offering a heart being pierced by.
Wouldn't you so much prefer to have this discussion over a wonderfully blended drink, including fresh-grown herbs that would just with this umami? Like, do you enjoy umami flavors in general? I adore such things, and I think you would like one too.
What does Mint do, Klaus? Sorry.
I think she is going to. So, if I choose to fail, does the same effect still occur? Do I still get 3 cards?
Indeedy. Of course, it would break the possession if you do, but
That's fine. I choose to break the possession. I choose to fail.
Let's see. This I guess this is a conflict, but I was more suggesting what do you make Mint do in general. So is this going to be another kind of forcing Basil to stay?
Yeah, I think because what I'm going to do is what I essentially, because I have to get rid of a card anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been this one.
Okay.
And by choosing to fail, I get rid of that card. The possession breaks.
Okay. That is entirely fine. I'm now desperate. I just realized I don't actually have like aggressive spooky music, and I'm like trying to quickly be like,
Question.
this'll do. Yes.
I have a power called Violet Grudge.
Mm-hmm.
It activates when a player defeats me. Does that count if I choose to fail?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't feel like it should.
I mean,
Fuck all of you.
it needs to be in an opposed conflict. So, if you're making an NPC do something, then, or I guess it needs to be you facing off against a player, not you facing off against a number Nathan's setting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what was that? What
you jumped at the gun a little bit in terms of whether we were setting a difficulty for this or anything. But no, it's all good. It's all good. Let's think of the best way to kind of like
you're ruling. It doesn't have to be.
I think under that particular instance, it would have been a challenge to you personally that you set to fail, so you've intentionally broken the control over Mint.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine. I'm fine to fail. I just draw cards.
Mint snaps.
Hey, I guess I could draw 3 cards.
Mint snaps upright and oh no, Mint's not dead.
Mint has a heart attack and dies.
Mint snaps upright, pulls open her book, and yells, "There's a ghost in here!" The pages flutter. The pages flutter supernaturally. It seems that she has magical ability.
Oh.
I have very clearly.
Basil, what did you do?
How very dare. No, nothing at all. You leave me out of this. This is between you and Spookies. I'm going.
Between you and Spooky.
I'm going.
So, okay, I think at this point, Mint goes to leave by climbing up the stairs. Do they run into Klaus coming down the stairs? Or
Basil tries the door.
I think that definitely happens, and when she sees him, Klaus just puts like one finger over his mouth and goes shush.
Yeah, no. Mint is like a ghost and is and is all kind of like, I need to erase this ghost that clearly just possessed me. Fuck this. And starts to try and make an incantation. What do you do?
Oh, crap. Okay. She's on stairs, right?
Yeah, she's on the stairs.
I'm gonna kick it down the stairs.
Oh, fucking hell. All right.
Hey, problem solving.
Yeah, I think this is a 9 difficulty...
Can I talk it down? Yes. Do I want to?
No, I think this is a 9
Why
difficulty
talk her
check.
down when you can knock her down?
Hopefully this song is not awful. This'll do. This is fine. Yeah, it's called Witch Hunt, so I don't know. It felt appropriate. Yeah, this is a 9 difficulty check. Do you play?
I do.
Okay.
I do not have many options here, so I'm gonna play this.
Mm-hmm. Using your knowledge or intellect.
Yep. So I'm gonna.
Ooh, trumpets.
I think I'm gonna rewind a little bit on the aggressive approach to this.
Sure thing.
Just
Well,
because
I'm gonna kick it on the stairs,
I
maybe.
literally didn't. So I'm going to say that when she says ghost and tries to incantate him away,
Mm-hmm.
She says, "A ghost."
yeah, he is basically going to say, that little spellbook of yours will not do anything. I will allow you to leave here alive. Test my patience, and you die in these halls.
She, on reflex, because she was mid incantation, fires a bolt of some kind of energy. It probably wouldn't have been particularly big on a regular day, but with the border between here and the glamour so thin, it's actually huge, but it evaporates upon your person into butterflies and does no damage. Proving that clearly you are beyond anything that she could contend with.
I will count to 3.
She leaves.
Yeah, good. As soon as she leaves, like anything approaching earshot, Klaus is going to go down the stairs, and he is going to find Basil.
Okay. I think this is probably a good time for Phlox also to show up, because I think this is the final showdown.
Oh yes. Yeah, I think so Basil was going for the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's Basil is, reaching out for the door and just sees Phlox step through them holding the minute hand. What does Basil say as he sees Phlox aggressively but slowly walking towards him, wielding this gigantic thing?
Oh, there you are. Right. I can't get this door open. Could you maybe help me a little bit? I don't really like being in here.
Phlox keeps stepping towards you.
Appropriate music.
Yes. Well, no, the door's just there. We never finished our conversation about what it was you might want. I'm willing to.
Oh no!
If you want to laugh at me.
That was entirely inappropriate. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think Basil, like, walking backwards, trips over like a little radio boombox and turns it on, and then Phlox, as they walk past it, just destroy it, turn it into smithereens by slashing it with the minute hand.
I completely missed that. I was so wrapped up in how tense this is that I completely didn't hear the music. Okay, well, you did ridicule me in a public place, so I'm willing to hear you out. We're close. We've been working together for a long time. I can help you, whatever it is, whatever you need. I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
I think at this point it's going to be a 1st to 2 3-way gambit. So every round each of you has the intent of the thing you want to do. We play the card. The person with the highest suit obviously wins and gets a point. First to 2 points succeeds the encounter. This encounter can indeed be lethal.
Okay, I only have one card.
I guess you're going to have to fail a round and get more cards.
You'll automatically fail one round.
That's fine.
So-
Doesn't mean you fail the whole encounter. Just
No, it just means
one
you
round.
have to, basically try and get 2 of 3. And hope you get... You're going to use that card and then draw 3 on your next turn.
So, what are the stakes everyone's setting for this?
What is the final outcome if you win this best 2 of 3?
I was
Or
hoping
first
to
to
get into
two,
a position
rather.
with Klaus and have a discussion with him there, but never mind. God, I had so many plans.
I mean, you can try and talk Klaus out of this. That is an option. You can also try and talk Phlox out of this, or you can try and win physically.
I don't think Phlox can be reasoned with. I
Oh,
don't see how they would be.
respecting Phlox's ability to be self-determinate now that your back's against the wall, huh?
No, I don't. It's not that. It is that Phlox has never shown me anything I could truly understand from them. And I don't see that Basil would understand any motive here. And that in and of itself is more terrifying than like, oh, well, you're a dick, so I'm killing you. So I don't... I guess the only way I could see this is either trying to convince Phlox that the times with me have been good, which is not true. Or try
I
and
mean,
get...
your end goal could just be to escape alive. That's still...
Yeah, flee.
No.
All
Can
right.
Klaus hear me?
I think Klaus is coming down the stairs, so yes, he can definitely hear you.
Is this really what you want for them? Murder? This poor thing? This person? I've never asked them to kill anyone. I'll admit to that.
I did not
Is that what
ask.
you're doing?
I did not ask them to do anything.
Oh,
They-
you led them on. You liar. You wretched thing. You self-interested, self-pitying, disgusting cretin of a ghost. Do you want them to be you? Is that what you want? Well, fine then.
At this point, Phlox is, maybe I'll save this for after the first round. So yeah, I'm ready to.
I like the idea that that's the initial starting barb is that speech.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
Okay.
I guess I'm
Oh
playing
god.
this card and then. So who
Face
am I?
down.
Right. So who am I doing this with? Sorry.
This is
It
all of
versus
you.
everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. So just
Don't
play
forget
on.
to hold shift, not caps lock, shift when you're putting a card down.
Yep. That's important. Dear God.
Let's go for a classic with the music on this one.
Dum 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 dum.
Oh, very loud.
Oh, I don't hear it at all, actually.
Ah.
Sounds like a level in Super Mario.
Oh man, I'm sad I can't hear this. I love Danse Macabre.
It is very, very good.
Okay. Yeah, let's.
Fortunately, it's playing on this side, even if it's being a butt for...
Oh, I like this. Yes, I'll do this.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's playing for other people and not just me. Although it does mean the stream can hear it. So we've got our first round going. Flip in 3, 2, 1, go!
Oof. How did I guess that would happen?
You
Yeah.
fell into my trap.
Unfortunately, aces beat face cards.
Is that including modifiers or?
I do
Well-
believe so.
Everything. Aces are 15.
And a queen is
and
worth
all.
12. I have a +3 as I'm using my. Oh, there is the question of I'm using honor, protection, status, and duty.
But that could be the nullification therein.
That's true. I think this may very well be a new sense of duty emerging within Phlox.
Okay. What is that? So no values at all, just ace win.
What's your modifier on the queen?
Yeah, what's your modifier?
6. Oh, okay, wait. So that's 6 plus 12, which is 18. And oh my god, I'm at 15 because ace when a face card is in play, ace is worth 15 plus 3. So I'm also at 18. So we tie.
Oh. Okay, how does that work then?
I'm pretty sure it says in the rules, or at least it should say in the rules, that that when
I'm happy for that to be a stalemate.
In the event that players tie, both discard their cards and play new ones. So Klaus is out of this running.
Yep, Klaus automatically loses, I guess.
So then I automatically lose as well.
Well, this round.
So yeah, you win anyway, Phlox.
Okay, so I've just taken the first round. There's still round 2, but.
So does that mean I get 3 cards now to use this round?
You played though. It's but
then I was meant to play another one and then.
So basically, no, that's not what I meant to do. Is there a way to add numbers? There isn't. Boo. Oh no, it's fine. I can add a pip. So doing a gambit and then intentionally withdrawing counts as failing, and you draw cards.
Right.
Playing a gambit and going through with it is not the same thing because you're taking on the risk of winning. So it's choosing not to play is what will earn you.
So you have to choose to fail now, which is unfortunate.
Right. Sorry, I didn't realise that choosing to fail was what got me the card.
No, that's fine. I also didn't know.
You get so many cards. Right, that's fine. So I just lose this one automatically.
To be fair, you weren't to know that gambit would happen, so.
No,
that was a strong play. You did a strong opening hand and you went for it.
You fuck with that ace. Took that ace off me.
Oh, that was the ace that I took from you. So I think what happens is
I think that's worth a win in the first place anyway.
I think Phlox throws their hand out at you, and you see a lot of all of the alcohol that was in your flask flies out of Phlox's hand and into your face, specifically your eyes. And as your eyes are kind of burning from that, you are hearing voices in your head, and they're all saying, "I just wanted to learn how to feel happiness, and you said no."
Okay, to be fair, you didn't say those words to me, and now my eyes are burning, and I feel like this isn't very.
God. I think you open up your eyes, and actually no, I'll save that for if I win the next round.
And speaking of round 2.
Round 2.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Before it goes on. Even if you move on, they'll still be here, mimicking you. The terror of the clock tower.
Ooh, I kind of want to understand now.
Is that your legacy?
Go for it.
That's it.
Go for broke.
Okay. Oh, I love this so much. This is so cool. Okay. Ooh. Phlox, buddy, pal.
That's me.
Oh dear. Okay. Oh shit.
I mean, you could also choose to fail, but then Phlox would immediately win.
I'm not gonna choose to fail. You know what? Go for broke.
this is normally a first to 3, but we're a little short on time, so...
3, 2, flip.
Ooh.
And I have no modifier for that, so that is a flat 9. I definitely
And I have
lose.
+4. Yeah.
So how are you
So-
using your superior intellect to gain control of this particular part of the situation?
I think what happens is Basil is, basically rather desperate, is what Klaus has a feeling. Klaus has come down by this point, and when Basil stumbles backwards, he stumbles into Klaus. And as he says, do you just want them to replicate you? Do you want them to be hurt? Klaus just leans down by Basil's ear and whispers, "You are speaking to a mirror of yourself. Have you never thought of how your selfishness has affected?"
Well, you're
I may
talking shit, so I'm not having that.
I may just be a ghost, but at least I like being human. You, however, choose to leave it behind. I'm simply going to grant you that wish, just not in the way you like.
Oh, you're such an edgelord.
He's such an idiot.
Get it over with.
Having failed that particular encounter automatically, Basil, I have dealt you 3 cards.
Oh, thank you.
Round 3.
Yep.
Okay, and we're on double match point.
Yep. Klaus is going to look at Phlox, and he's going to say, "Phlox, I cannot decide for you. It is your will. Do as you wish."
I'm going to have just a little moment. I'm going to turn to Klaus and say, if you think you aren't influencing them, then you should take a long, hard look in the mirror and think of what exactly it is you do around here. And turns back around to Phlox and goes, well, if this is what you really want, good man. Go right ahead.
You can still play a card, mate.
Nope.
Oh, you're choosing to lose?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, okay.
Reveal
My
in
goodness.
3, 2, 1. Go for it.
Oh!
Oh my god. Okay, I have a +4 modifier. What about you?
So that would make yours a...
16.
Oh, mine's a 15. No mod.
So you graze in
Oh.
addition. You,
Oh my
you
God.
crit succeed. Congratulations.
Terrifying. Okay, well, I can say exactly what happens. As this is the end, right?
Yep.
Why do you get so loud?
I think.
Thanks, Roll20. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, did the music kick
It
up
was
or
just
something?
way too loud.
Yes.
Oh,
God fucking
lucky
damn
me for not being able to hear that, I
As
guess.
soon as you spoke, it cut out completely, and it was very funny.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So, Phlox reels back with the minute hand and thrusts it at Basil over their shoulder and into Klaus's heart,
Oh!
and walks up to Basil, places their hands on his cheeks, and you hear.
Ooh, I'm gonna pause you right there.
Okay.
As the impact strikes, so does it too hit midnight, and everybody outside is counting down for the fireworks to go off, and they do. They go in the air, they explode, and they hang. As a big ripple of magical energy subsumes the entire tower and the entire town. Time has held still, although those with magical ability can still move almost slowly, like they're moving underwater. Phlox, on the other hand, you get full control.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, Phlox has their hands on Basil's face, and you hear a voice inside your head say, "You never gave me a voice, so I'm taking yours." And Phlox disappears, and Basil shuts his eyes and reopens them, and for a brief moment, they are blank like Phlox's, and then he blinks. And it's just normal Basil.
You don't fuck me up, fam.
Klaus, I imagine from Klaus's perspective, as the minute hand goes forward, he is anticipating like something, but then as it strikes into his own undead heart, he grasps it like that would stem like some blood flow or something, and then he drops onto his knees. And he coughs, and little like rose petals like come out of his mouth and stream down.
Nice. So
Boy.
Phlox in Basil's body turns around and says, "I'm sorry, I
think that's
it didn't have to be this way."
Sorry, I have to do an important thing.
Okay.
Why?
Oh, should I stop?
I
No.
guess we keep going.
Okay.
So see if you can move Basil's pog, Phlox.
I can't actually.
Damn it!
That is okay.
Hold on. It's because I didn't save it. Now try.
Yes. Nice. There we go.
Oh my god.
So yeah.
Oh god.
Basil turns and says, "I'm sorry, you helped me out for sure, but I couldn't let you take his body away. I need it."
Oh.
You could have had anybody. You chose his.
It was the final debt to be repaid.
I think. Go ahead.
I curse you. You will not. This is not the last you will hear of me. Take that to your grave.
You can feel yourself being slowly tugged away into the glamour, Klaus Asterdale.
I will find you. I will find you. And he starts to dissipate into further yellow rose petals, and eventually it settles to the floor on the final "I will find you" crater.
Whoop.
Paolo, we're getting some mic noises.
Oh, sorry. I had to come run and get my.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. We're wrapping up.
It settles on "I will find you, traitor."
And then Klaus Asterdale is no more, but you hear the sound of footsteps up the stairs. It's Camellia. Well, I wasn't expecting you to be the last one alive, Basil. But I think you've done well. The Feywild awaits. The glamour is open to you. I think the Autumn Court is a little gauche, but the Winter Court is available. Now, just give me that clock hand. It's more powerful than you could ever know. You wouldn't know what to do with it, but I'll give it safekeeping.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think Phlox is currently going back and forth really hard, as they were... they just wanted a normal life. And...
Oh shit, you have my whole body.
Yeah,
I'm you now,
I
baby.
fucked up my voice. Oh
yeah,
my
Basil's basically buggered.
I-
Does Basil still exist, or did he swap bodies?
That's down to Phlox. It's grand magic. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it.
Oh my god, I think Basil is still like the real Basil is still here, but is trapped within Phlox's shadow.
We have a Geist situation.
And I think shiveringly, Phlox reaches down, picks up the minute hand, and gives it to the Winter Queen.
Very good. Now, shall we? And she draws a circle in the air, tracing the tip of the clock hand in empty space, and like tearing through paper, a hole just appears to another space. A large palace made of glass and quartz among hills of permafrost lies in the distance. Happy Halloween. And that is the end of this session of Mystic Lilies Stroke of Midnight.
That was so cool.
I got done so dirty.
The dirty doer was done dirty in the end.
Oh, how the tables have turned!
I did like the twist. The twists are great.
Oh, the twists are amazing. Only a true RPG writer could come up with those twists.
I mean, to be honest, most of it y'all wrote yourselves. The way that Mystic Lilies works is that I do a lot of setting up the the early scenarios and the people involved, but eventually the outcome is essentially what you make of it, and y'all told a very entertaining story together. I applaud all three of you. You did a great job.
Props to Will. Props to Will on a great system and some great RP at the end there.
Thank you. You guys were fantastic players, and Nathan, you did a great job as a GM.
Oh, thank you. This would be the point where I'd play Redial, but where we don't have YouTube as music backup this time. We're using Roll20's BS. But
So we'll just have to sing it together.
no.
I don't even know what this is.
It's fine. Some meme video game song. Nobody cares. But yes. There's
around at the speed of sound.
it's that similar energy. Yeah.
All right.
But yes, thank you all so much for playing. You were saying?
Yeah. So, Will, is there anything you'd like to talk about in regards to Mystic Lilies and its development?
Look at you fucking jumping the gun and taking my job.
All right, I respect Nathan's choice if he wishes to save that.
No, go for it.
Oh man, okay, let's see. I think Mystic Lilies has really pleasantly surprised me very consistently with how it started from kind of derivative origins. You know, I've spoken before about it. Kind of starting out as a fan game to like Toho project and just being like, what if you took this like oddball Japanese game series and you made it like really edgy and dramatic. And I was also, you know, it's really early days. It started off super inspired by the game Monster Hearts, which cannot recommend enough. But it really warms my heart that it has surprised me, not just in how it has moved past its original kind of derivative origins into being something that is coming up with these like really fun stories that are, you know, way far from what I would have originally imagined. With, you know, I love, by the way, the Clock Tower duel is a perfect way to end a Mystic Lilies session. I've done it. It's happened 3 times for me so far, and it's a great time.
Yes.
But I think not just that, but also watching players really kind of like slip into the morally gray kind of antagonistic side, just being able to put aside the norms of being like, okay, we're all going to be a team, we're all going to work together, and slipping into this just dark place where we can all just narratively play around and have fun. It is so fun seeing when people come up with that, and especially when someone is like, I only play the goodest of boys, like Paolo, as you were saying, and then you come up with this delightful piece of shit. It was
absolute bastard, man. Absolutely. And there's moments during it where I was like, oh, this is where I'd be good now. To be like, nope.
And you did such a good job playing that to the hilt, and I think that is I think design wise, it is just one of the greatest things that I could hope for, is making something that constantly surprises me. So I feel very fortunate in that regard.
Yay. Nice.
Yeah, I can definitely say I really enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed Basil Black, like down to the voice, the mannerisms. Like, he is the character I'd love to see played. And this game, I think I mentioned it before. I like the idea that this game allows the players to experiment with the more morally dubious, morally grey parts of themselves and who they want to play as characters, but it does it in a safe environment where, there's very much a focus on, this is what we don't want to happen. You still respect each other outside of the game, but inside you can be utter bastards. We are the bad guys. In a sense, like, none of us are. So I think that's a very unique part of this game that I don't think I'll find anywhere else, really. So if this ever comes up for any form of online support, you have mine 100%.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna back the shit out of this.
Oh, that is very sweet. I'm hoping to get the Kickstarter up early October. Thumbs up.
In time for Halloween.
Oh god, do you know what I just realised? Basil kind of got what he wanted in the worst way.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Like he did to people.
It's
oh no.
exactly why I had Camellia show up and offer specifically that.
Oh dear.
Twisted endings. Yeah. Fun times.
But yeah. Nathan, is there anything else?
Ooh, you're rowboating a little bit. Is there anything else that I want to add? Nah, I think it's just a neat game. I really like games that use cards rather than dice. The nature of how they are as an element of randomness is different to dice in a way that I think is really fun to explore. And I think this game makes really good use of that with blind plays and bluffing and kind of like, oh yes, I'm going to go for it. And then you relent at the last second and people are like, you're backing down? What? All that shit.
As a dice enthusiast who oftentimes refuses to play games that don't include dice, the card mechanic of this game tickled my brain in such a good way. I'm like, ooh, I now want to find more games with card mechanics because that was really cool.
Yeah, and I guess to my end of kind of perspective of RPGs and what you can do in them, I agree about the idea of like, oh yes, this is a game that lets you be like an asshole, but this is also, I think, or I've personally found, as a good introduction to horror in tabletop RPGs, because there is the likes of Call of Cthulhu or whatever with a sanity mechanic, and it doesn't think especially too hard about the depictions of mental health reduced to mechanics and things, because that's too nuanced for that shit. But this game is really easy to kind of work in horror elements without having to make it mechanical or burning it all the way in, and has been an opportunity for me to experiment both as a GM and a player. The chance to wig other players out is something that I have enjoyed. The number of Mystic Lilies sessions that I've played, Will can attest to. I like to make some spooky bitches for for this game, and hopefully as other people encourage them to do the same, I guess.
Yeah, I think Mystic Lilies Mystic Lilies is meant to a certain degree to be a place for people to explore, whether that's exploring characters that don't look like them, characters that don't act like them. I hope you don't act like a Mystic Lilies character most of the time. And absolutely exploring themes like different flavors of horror. I do appreciate the fact that each time you play a character in Mystic Lilies, it's a different kind of horror.
Yeah.
And that's always very fun.
You know, you can't do the same thing twice. I have to impress you every time, otherwise I'm not doing it right. But yeah,
it says a lot about the players as well. Like when you can be kind of uncomfortable but still know that you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Like it's yeah.
This game is also definitely a good exercise of practicing appropriateness for the table and for the session. Not that any of us here need that, but you know, every so often you kind of hear a discussion of like getting groups of people together, and the person who's organizing the thing sets a tone in a place way out there from what the people who are at the table expect, and this game spends a decent amount of like pages within its rulebook to talk through the process of like, hey, you can do some really creepy shit in this and it's great, but also like think for like 2 seconds. For the love of God. So hopefully for what I've run today, this has been an appropriate level of spooky, but also not an uncomfortable level of spooky. But just to close things out, because I realise I have you at the limit of the time I promised to have you ensnared within my spooky tabletop web. If people want to find you and your content, Paolo, or just to congratulate you on how good you are as Basil Black, where can they find you?
They can find my content, and I'm finally comfortable saying this now, even though there's only one article on the website, at Dice Advice. That's diceadvice.co.uk.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I say that I have a thing, then I am then forced to put...
Hell yeah, you are. Public shame gets me so motivated.
Yeah. So that's a website you can read reviews and possibly content for some RPGs that already exist, hopefully at some point once I start streaming.
Nice.
Or you can follow me on Twitter at Negaband. And full disclosure, I do retweet a lot of pictures of puppies.
Right.
Disclosure appreciated.
Amy, where can we find you and yours?
Well, I'm really only... I've been interacting with the creative crowd for a little while, but I have not currently created my stuff. But I do have some ideas, so watch this space. But in terms of other stuff I'm currently in on, obviously you mentioned before, Roll on the Adventure podcast, run by our mutual friend David Winterbottom. And if you'd like to hear more of me, then that's something I go on. I think you're currently going through an arc.
Yeah, we just wrapped up an arc that's based on dream access, and it's about like high schoolers who plunge into the abstract dreams of their friends to help them solve teenage problems. It was very abstract.
Yep, we're the podcast where we make, break, and adjust RPGs for your enjoyment. And we've done stuff from time cops, basically.
Time cowboys
to like murder mysteries.
There was a Human Zoo RPG, I think, at one point. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we work in the weird and wonderful and strange. So if you want to see more of that and, see the process of game development and how it kind of works in troubleshooting with a bunch of nerds, then I'd highly recommend you watch that. And for me, just sort of watch this space. I will be trying to do more creative stuff in this area.
Hell yeah. We'd love to have you back on the show in future. This isn't going to be my last tabletop RPG stream on this channel. So yeah, I would love to have you back.
I hope not.
My final praise for this session is that I've needed a wee for 3 hours.
We're wrapping up in literally minutes, but you can escape now if you want. It's all good.
No, I will see this through.
Cool. I'll let Will go last because you have a lot of things to plug. You can find me right here, usually every other Thursday, but if not, whenever the fuck I feel like. I also do a 2 podcasts, the Talent Agency podcast. That is a cyberpunk actual play involving Paolo and on one occasion Will. People are navigating the world of arts and entertainment industry in 2077 England. That's going to be wrapping up eventually once I get round to finishing editing episodes and recording next ones. Hopefully we'll be recording a new session for that quite soon. I also do a different podcast, an LGBTQ artist interview show called The Passion Project. Which also airs on the same radio network that Roll on the Adventure does at bunkerzilla.co.uk. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Phantom Arts Ent. That's Phantom Arts ENT. I'm releasing a zine next month. It's going to be great. And to wrap things up, Will, send it on home.
Yeah, okay, so if you enjoyed this and want to learn more about Mystic Lilies, you can go to merrymancergames.com. That is MERRY, Mancer as in necromancer or what have you, MANCER, games, not spelling that, .com. And you can see my currently released games as well as a link to my Discord server. We have I believe it's over 600 something. Yeah, we have almost 650 people in the server.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I know, right? It's great. And no, seriously, I do very much love the server. And there is a Mystic Lilies channel there, which has been getting some more previews of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Kickstarter launches, I'm going to be blast that info out a lot of places. And if you want to make sure you get that information as soon as it happens, get on that there Discord server. And last but not least, I am on Patreon. That's patreon.com/WILLUHL. Will Uhl. It's also my name. And you can support me and the games I make, like Mystic Lilies.
Mm-hmm. And with that, we'll see you all next time. Goodbye, children. Goodbye.
See you then.